Hey, Kevin Vonesper. Hey man, it's me, it's your old buddy Beefcake, the mighty, from Gwar. Yeah. Hey man, your friend Keith Rankin wanted me to reach out and wish you, I guess, a belated birthday. Your birthday was on the 27th, and you turned 39. Ding 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 ding. Wow. I've got piss stains in the front of my fucking underwear. Older than you. Anyway, he wanted me to wish you a happy birthday and good luck. Wish you good luck hosting your GWARPod on YouTube. That sounds like it's going to be quite entertaining. Anyway, man, he also said, he asked me what my favorite Phantom of the Opera related movie or whatever is, and I gotta say, here's my top three. The original black and white silent Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney Sr., yes, and the song Phantom of the Opera by Iron Maiden, and also the comedy movie sensation Phantom of the Paradise. Yes, excellent. Anyway, that's all I got for you. So, hope you enjoyed your birthday. It's going to be your last. Gwar's coming on tour and everybody's going to die, so I guess none of this really matters. But, yeah, I hope you had a blast anyway. Cheers!
Yes, hello, it's me, Kevin Vonesper. If you are watching this, you have found the GWARPod. And look, I still need to get a little better positioning so you guys can see this, but I updated my Gwar cave a little bit. You see, I got the new wall hangers. I don't know what they're called. They're fucking Gwar merch, and I bought it because I'm a sucker. I bought that. I got some fucking, oh, there goes the algorithm already. By the way, subscribe to my channel. 2 more subscribers, and I got 1,000. So let's do it tonight during the show, because it's season beatings from Gwar and the Gwar store. Go get your Gwar Christmas junk and stuff. Oh yeah, there's a beef. That's our guest tonight, Beefcake the Mighty. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 now, I believe. We will confirm that. I think that's the great quote from the documentary. What else did I get? There's so much Gwar shit all the time. Oh, I took advantage of the Black Friday sale. I got myself a Techno Destructo shirt, which I promptly cut up and wore to the goth club. It was a hit. Gwar's old sound guy, Jamie, was there. Their comic book writer, Matt Miner, was there, who's my friend from the goth scene and former guest on the show. It was a good Gwar little time at the goth club, believe it or not. They threw in this. I think some other people got a little bonus. I don't remember ordering this, but I will take it. Should we just get to it, man? I know I'm packing. You guys are packing the house tonight. It's Casey or Beefcake the Mighty, of course. Let's do it. It's time for GWARPod. Oh wait, I got this shot glass too from the new Dank Ages collection. It's a little cheap, but it does the job. Put the alcohol into it, put it into your mouth. I didn't bring my Gwar Smash up tonight. I still have some cans of that, but I'll save it. It's cool. New Dank Ages, that's what I'm on. It's time for GWARPod. Ready? Let's do it.
GWARPod comes from on GWARPod. 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 GWARPod.
Hello, KCR.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
What's up, Kevin?
I thought I'd follow up on that wonderful cameo, and I know you like some models and figures and horror and shit, right?
I do.
Look at this old, I believe the Aurora model kit. This was my grandfather's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
very cool.
It's very brittle. I got to be careful with that one. And then I wanted to show you this guy. That's Eddie.
Excellent.
This is a gigantic action figure, still in the box and everything.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know when that came out, but it's pretty freaking cool. I didn't get it when it came out, but I want to ask, what do you love about the Phantom of the Paradise?
Just the sheer cheesiness of it all. It was filmed in Dallas.
Mm.
The outside of Swan's studio castle house was actually the old Dallas courthouse.
Oh wow.
And when I was a young lad, I worked for a scaffold company, and we built scaffolding around the whole place. And so I was up
Oh,
on the
that's a
roof
real
playing around.
personal connection.
But then the interior of his place was filmed in the Majestic Theater in Dallas, and I got to go see a screening of the movie at the Majestic Theater, and it was really really cool. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But
Is
yeah,
it only a movie theater, or have bands played there? And have you played there?
bands have played there. I actually saw Colin Hay there with my girlfriend, just him and his guitar, and it was singer from Men at Work, and it was amazing. The guy's funny as hell.
Wow. Well, that's famous in Canada and filmed in Dallas. Who knew?
Right? I know. It's a crazy
Um,
world.
okay. I know I'm guessing you were always into horror movies then, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And did that correlate with you being an artist? Because I don't hear you enough of you talking about your actual, hand to paper artwork. When did that start? And was it before or after the music?
I guess I always drew. Like when I was in school, I was art class was the only class I gave a shit about, and the only one I really I mean I didn't make horrible grades. I just didn't really care. So I would just skate through it because I knew I was going to be a rock star. Still working on that,
Yeah.
but no. So I was always into art, and
Rock
then
star.
art, yeah. But when Rigor Mortis started and all that, I would do a lot of the flyers and stuff like that. So I always kind of dabbled and always drew. And then, just being in Gwar for years, I can't remember when it was. I do a couple of little things here and there, art wise with Gwar, but not much. Very, very little. Just a piece here and a piece there.
Was it
Really
like
bad.
a plus on your resume that you were also an artist because it was a
No,
collective?
I don't think anybody. I showed up with a bunch of weed shoved down my pants for the
That
audition.
seems to be the general story from you guys from Texas.
Yeah, I remember
Johnny
Don
Gwar,
Dracula. I threw it on the table, and Don was stitching on something, and he just kind of barely looked up, and he goes, "Yeah, that's the guy."
You got it through the airplane? Did they not carry
Yes,
that thing?
they were different times back then,
Yeah.
youngster. Yeah, that
Well,
was
wow.
what was that 90 through into 93, I guess, when I went up there.
Did you
I think it was like
bring yeah.
I had a quarter
Yeah,
pound
go
of
ahead.
weed stuffed down my pants on the airplane. No
Is
problem.
that more or less than Pete Lee brought to them when he joined the band?
Well, in total, much less.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Maybe
We
better
used to
quality.
party, man.
Yeah. Well, now you
Yeah,
might just legally be
Gwar.
able to do that.
Yeah, we had a good time when I first joined the band.
Well, we're skipping ahead a little bit. We're definitely going to get to some Gwar, but I do still want to. So, did you design this logo? Is this
I
your art?
I designed the logo and I designed the word, but I had my brother do the drawing of the word, and the original
Okay.
design had like white hair and all this stuff,
Right.
and that's the artwork that's on the demo
Right, which
CD.
I just ordered today from theartofor.com, guys.
That was you?
That was
Yeah,
me.
I've got a few left, but
Nice.
yeah, I did the original design, and then when it came time to do that album, the label reached out to Pusshead, who had been
Oh, cool.
doing some
Yeah, of
Metallica
course.
stuff,
The Misfit.
and he turned his nose up at it or whatever, and he just didn't do it, and
Ooh,
so
Pusshead.
but it would have been great, to have Pusshead do it, but the guy who did it, Court Johnson, he did all of Tony Hawk's stuff. He did all the birdhouse stickers and all the. And if you look at like the classic bird skull Tony Hawk sticker, and you look at the line, the way his style is, you can tell it's the same art.
This is
Yeah,
it, right?
that's the original,
Yeah.
the very original. Just sitting around being, probably I don't even know if the band was actually named that yet, but
Right. Is this maybe the band was based on this doodle right here?
No,
Or
I think
did you like make up band names and logos all the time? Was that part of
oh
your
yeah,
practice?
yeah. When I was a kid, yeah, I think the first band me and Harden were in was called Tempest,
I'm
but
sure
it was
someone
never
did that,
did
right?
anything. We just
Yeah,
walked around. We walked around junior high going,
sure.
yeah, a band called Tempest.
What was your first actual band? Was it Rigor Mortis?
The first band I ever played in was junior high with some kids, and it was called Rampage. And
Like the
only
video game?
way before the video game. I'm I'm old. This was probably
Fair, fair.
79, something like that, and 78, 79. And we only played one show, and it was at a church auditorium, and they let us rehearse in like the youth center house that was next to the church. And I guess we just, got rambunctious one day and kind of fucked up the house. And so they locked it up and wouldn't let us get our equipment. So
Oh no.
I had to break a window, but I didn't know how to break a window correctly at that time. So I just punched
So the
it and
window
pulled my
broke
hand
through.
back and still have a scar right there. Bled everywhere. But we got our gear and we ended up playing the show.
You were the inspiration for the Damaged cover.
I don't know about that.
I want
But
to
I did a
see.
lot of damage.
Right.
Back when I was young,
There you go.
I got away with so much stupid bullshit behavior when I was younger. I'm not proud of it, but I am proud of the fact that I somehow got through it all, didn't end up in prison,
Sure.
didn't end up dead. But thank God my kid went a completely different route than me because
Oh, rock and roll.
Mm.
Is rock and roll still dangerous like that, or maybe not for you guys, but
yeah,
are the kids still fucking shit up or what?
Well, see, that was one of the reasons that I came back to Gwar is I was like, man, they're God bless them, doing great, carrying on. That edge needs to come back. A little bit of that old school danger needs to come back,
Right.
but it's not really.
Right. Sure. I want to see who's in the chat room. We got Splamos here,
Blammo.
Sarah's here, John
John.
Puck's here, yeah, Vinny's here. I think everyone is oh yeah, my brother who got me that cameo is here. Evil Kitty Keith, thank you very much. People have been talking to each other. Yes, we'll talk about the X-Cops, of course. Yeah, Sean here from the Guarzium. Man, we packed the house tonight. Guys, there's at least 2 of you who have not subscribed to my channel. Let's get me to 1,000 tonight during the show. Let's do it. All right, and keep sending in your questions. We'll get to them at some point. Okay, I do want to ask about this cover too, just because it is. I don't know if this ever came out on vinyl, but if it did, I gotta get it because it's one of those you just need a giant. It's like this is one of those covers you walk into the record store and you're like, I need to buy that. I have no idea what it is, but it's just so cool.
That's how I got my musical education, was walking into record
Yeah.
stores while I was skipping lunch in high school, thumbing through the import bins and going, Raven, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, what were some of those records that you bought?
Man, Raven, Venom, a lot of the early new wave of British heavy metal bands, Saxon and on and on and on. I was just immersed into that. I started out as a huge Kisketeer when I was younger, and then a friend of mine played, I think, British Steel for me, and then that was it. And then it was just head first into heavy metal, and then eventually somebody, like in the early Rigor Mortis days, somebody told me, you have to go to this club in Dallas called the Circle A Ranch, and it was just a complete punk club, just skinheads and mohawks, dingy, filthy, beer stained, just a little shithole. And me and Harden, the drummer for Rigor Mortis, went there, long haired, spikes and shit. And I mean, man, it was like John Belushi in the Blues Brothers when he was in the church, and the light hits him, and he's just this revelation. Because we had never seen a mosh pit before. It wasn't happening in the metal scene at all.
Oh, okay. Really?
There was no crossover.
You were playing in Rigor Mortis and you had not seen a mosh pit.
No, it didn't. Rigor Mortis started you got to understand that the whole scene was different in Texas. Pantera was playing, but they were playing like 4 or 5 nights a week at
Were they still a
bars.
glam band at that time?
They were they were a cover band because they were
Mm.
playing like all these bars, and they had to play approved set lists, and they had to play radio songs, and they wanted people dancing and drinking pitchers is what was kind of the whole scene. And that's of course how they got so fucking good is they played all the time. They were underage, they were playing bars, and they were and they became phenomenal because they played all the time. And when we started, we wanted to be a concert band. And so at the time, a low level band, you didn't have 3 bands play a bar. It'd be one band, and you have to play all these cover songs and shit.
Yeah.
So we went around, trying to get a gig, not having to do that because we didn't want to learn all those songs and play a bunch of cover songs. It's too much work. So we finally found this place, Joe's Garage, that let us come in with 2 other bands. And then that was it. The whole scene sort of came from there. And before Pantera, got huge, they were playing the club bar scene the way it was structured.
And no
And we
mosh
just
pits.
no. And so we go in this punk club. And
Yeah,
it's
do you
just,
remember who was playing? What was your first punk show? You have no
man, God, it could have been. There was all kinds of bands around Dallas, and you'd have like 2 touring bands and some local bands, and I didn't know who any of them were yet. I didn't know anything about punk yet, really. I want to say it was this band called 2x4, maybe. But there was a band called the Mel Coolies that played. The Boneless Ones, I remember, was one of the earliest ones I saw. A lot of like skater punk bands, a lot of mohawks, a lot of skinheads, a lot of fights. And we went in there just stupid, and we're like, this is cool, and had spikes on, and we went in the mosh pit the wrong way, and
Oh no.
skinheads after we got out of the pit, and skinheads came up, and we're like, man, we don't care if you guys are here, but those spikes got to go. And so I just pulled them off,
Wow.
grabbed one of the skinheads, went back in the pit, and I was in heaven. It was just
I was going to say, was there any clash between the punks and the metalheads? 'Cause I hear a lot
that
about
night we got out with our skins, got a lot of looks. People were like, what the fuck are these guys? But a lot of them respected us when they realized we were a band because we just stormed into their scene and said, this is cool as shit. We want part of this.
Yeah.
And so we were, I think, the first Dallas, metal band, speed metal, heavy metal band that ever crossed over into these punk clubs and stuff. And that was before DRI and crossover and all that kind of stuff. DRI was playing, but oh, there he is.
Look at that guy.
Handsome. Look at that baby.
I know. What do you like? When did the hair have to go? Like when was it
Well,
not cool to have long hair anymore?
In the 90s, as one would do, I let my hair all dread. And it was just fucking. God, it was horrible, man. It was like laying down on a coil of rope.
Were you playing new metal?
I was just playing Rigor Mortis. No, it was just Rigor Mortis, but it was everybody was wearing shorts and Doc Martens and letting their hair dread.
I like this fluffy look.
It actually looked pretty good in that picture. Usually it looked like just dried out fuzz. Right. But yeah, once I tried to get rid of the dreads, I finally just shaved it off, and that was it. There was no growing it back. I would have had to hide out for 2 years in a cave somewhere to let it grow back.
That's fair. Yeah, and then I'm sure you didn't want to get it stuck in the helmet or anything, right? Was that?
Well, it was long gone before I ever thought about Gwar.
Yeah. Speaking of your punk, okay, this is a good bridge because I definitely want to highlight your cover of Psychotherapy on this is awesome, and it's super punk rock, and it's like I love punk rock when a bunch of metalheads who know how to play music just nails punk rock and keeps it simple. And that's not really a question, but it's a bridge to talk about something I never heard you talk about, but I fucking love it. It's Blo Hole. I love this album. It's punk as fuck. It is like, I mean, you have some of the most skilled metal musicians ever on this record, and they're just playing it straight down punk rock for the most part.
Well, we had the luxury of not ever really having a real record label or management or any of that kind of stuff. So we just did
What was
whatever
this,
we
Triple
wanted
X,
to do.
right? Yeah, Triple X. Remember that?
Yeah,
Fuck.
but it was, even the first album came out on Capitol, which
Right.
was,
Rigor Mortis. Yeah.
a total, not really a fluke. It was just through a network of some really cool people that we knew, especially Jeff Lyles, still promoting in Dallas. We met with a lot of labels, and Rachel Matthews from Capitol at the time came out, and she came out to look at us and Pantera, and Pantera wasn't signed either.
Mhm.
And she went and saw them and hung out and met them and stuff. And then she came and hung out with us. And she already knew us a little bit and really liked us. She just thought we were these like pirates, and she really liked us. And she came away thinking Pantera's going to get no issue. They're going to get signed. They're going to be huge. But these ragamuffin guys, nobody's going to touch them. So she signed us to Capitol, and we were just so stoked about
that's pretty
fucking Capitol.
balls. Yeah.
I mean, like before, Pantera or anybody we knew, we got signed to Capitol. We made them, do the classic purple and silver label on the record. They're like, well, we could do anything you want. And we're like, no, we want the one the Beatles had on their record.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But, of course it was short lived, but, it was kind of a first at the time. And,
right.
But,
so
I mean, we really were able to do whatever we wanted. And so when we went and saw this punk rock music and just freaked out on that, it changed what we were doing. We wanted to be the fastest band that you could understand.
Right. Yeah.
And but
do you
then
think
we fell in love. Yeah, we just started falling in love with punk too. So.
And I mean,
which I always thought punk and metal were basically just two ends of the same thing. It's all aggression, and punk's a little more honest, whereas metal's more theatrical and flamboyant and over the top. But I think they're by immersing myself in both of them, I just thought they were the same, almost the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, for people who I'm sure everybody here should know, but Mike, do I say his name right? Skasha?
Yeah,
did I say it right?
it.
Okay. I mean, legendary. Obviously, if you guys know his history with transforming the industrial genre with Ministry and everything like that, that all came from Rigor Mortis, and then Blo Hole, which is like, you want to hear some like the fastest metalhead you can possibly imagine playing punk rock. This is your album right here. This is it.
And I'm singing it all.
Broke is one of my favorite songs. Got to be like of all time, man. Of your whole catalog, Broke, dude.
And it still has a lot of meaning today.
Yeah, I know the song. Yes.
Well, it's funny you talk about Ministry, and I'd worked with them a couple times, and the last time I was working with them, I was talking to Al, and I had remembered. The way I had remembered it was that Dave Ogilvy, who was producing the first Rigor Mortis album, had sent Al a tape, and Al freaked out on Mike's guitar playing and stuff, and was like, "Holy shit!" And the album that ended up being "Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste" was still going in that electronic direction that the Ministry was in, and he was like, "Guitars, fucking scrap it."
He's doing the With Sympathy tour or whatever.
So the story I had understood it was that he scrapped it because of just Mike and added all these guitars. But when I was talking to him, he was like, no, it was like, yeah, it was Mike, but it was the song Die in Pain. And I was like, oh, well, it's cool. I sang that one. He goes, yeah, I know. He goes, that song made me switch gears, and Ministry became Ministry after that. And so I thought about it, and I was like, so everybody that Ministry influenced indirectly was influenced by me.
Yeah, well, do you want to the thing we were talking about right before we started broadcasting, do you want to talk about the picture
Which picture?
of Trent Reznor?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure, I mean, that's all the same kind of circle at the time.
Well, yeah, at the time, definitely he was running around. 9 Inch Nails wasn't a big thing at all yet. He was, working with Al on a bunch of projects. They did that 1,000 Homo DJs EP. Yeah. And Supernaut. Originally Trent sang Supernaut. But then I guess he was starting his 9 Inch Nails thing with a label or whatever, and they wouldn't release him to be on it. So Al ended up redoing the vocals on that. But the original version, which I have somewhere on tape, I'm
wow,
sure you can
yeah.
find it out there.
Oh,
But it's
I'm
got
sure, yeah.
Trent
It's
Reznor
kind of a
singing.
legendary story with that song, yeah.
Yeah, but I had found a poster at this year-round weekend flea market called Traders Village in Arlington, Texas, and there was a poster shop out there, and it's just a big black and white poster of Trent Reznor wearing the original first batch Rigor Mortis shirt, just and sing on stage singing. And so of course, they didn't know me, so I bought it and I still have it somewhere, but it was long before anybody knew who Nine Inch Nails were. They were still playing clubs and shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wouldn't remember who I am at this point. But.
Oh, you never know. Well, maybe I'm sure he knows who Gwar is, but
No, he knows who Gwar is.
oh, okay, you're sure of that.
He came out to a show in New Orleans, and Danielle said, "Oh man, Trent's invited us all to come to his house after the show." And so, of course, on stage, Brockie just insults the fuck out of him, just being Brockie. And he him and his entourage were in the audience. You could just see them all turn and leave.
Oh man.
And he was living in Anne Rice's old house, so I was like, man, I just wanted to go see the house.
Oh wow,
Fucking Brockie.
This must have been after he lived at the Manson house.
Yeah.
Were you ever involved with the pig face or anything like that?
No, I know a lot of those guys. I know Curse Mackey and Martin and all that, but I've never.
That kind of came out of ministry, didn't it? And
it was ministry and revolting Cox and I know Mike Bishop as
Chris Connolly
Beefcake.
yelled at me once.
Oh yes.
Yes, I was in his bathroom. I film a lot of industrial and goth shows in New York City, so I come across some of these people once in a while.
Yeah. Scotchy used to always called him Pinky.
That's funny.
Whenever he talked about him, he called him Pinky.
Yeah, I was in his private bathroom where he was warming up or something. It was, I was staff. I was supposed to be there too. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're cool. I'm sure he doesn't remember me, but that was a Revolting Cock show. That was cool. Okay, so tell me about Blo Hole though. Was that a band that was active for a while, or was it just kind of a recording project?
We maybe did a half dozen shows. I don't think we did much more than that, but it was just something we just wanted to do. We just wanted to play. I think Hardin was playing.
I was saying this on a show the other day, but this is pure. I love music that just seems so genuine that it's pure, and this is one of those records, I think.
Well, it was just it was just we wanted to write songs like that and just play music. We didn't give a shit if anybody saw it or bought it or anything. We
want to see the kitty. We know you got a kitty.
You want to see the kitty? Hold on.
Yeah, of course. Don't worry, everyone. I'm going to get to your questions. We know that he's got a kitty. We need to see the kitty. All
right. If it'll behave itself, this is the kitty.
Yeah.
This is the fourth
star. This is what's going to get me 1,000 subscribers tonight.
Yeah, subscribe to the cat.
Yeah, if you like this, give it a like. Come on.
This is Reba. This is Reba McEntire.
Oh wow.
We have Conway Kitty. We have Carl Perkins, and we have Dolly Purton.
Wow, there's a theme going on here. Yeah, Splamo knows. Okay, so I don't know if I forgot this fact or I just put it back together this week, but when I was looking through my, I like to read my liner notes and everything. This is Mike Dunn, who
That's right.
I guess was it you who brought him into the X-Cops?
I think it was Pete
that
brought him in, and I think he came up there and did did some drum teching, I think, at one point, and then when they started talking about X-Cops, just kind of I guess naturally progressed. When I didn't know anything about X-Cops until I went up there joined the band.
Right.
And
Of course.
after,
I mean, I know this is a couple years before that, but I was just like putting the pieces together. I'm like, oh shit.
well, Mike Dunn
No wonder the
was,
drumming kicks ass so much.
yeah,
on this.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, amazing drummer. Like he's like a machine.
Yeah, I know. And I always thought the X-Cops record sounded like a machine, but maybe you can confirm this. That's just because it's drum triggered. Is it drum
No, that's just
triggered?
him. I mean,
Really?
I
That's a
don't think there
natural
was.
drum sound? It sounds almost industrial.
I
was
know that
almost
we didn't
wondering if it
spend
was
a lot
fake.
of time, you know, pulling up tones and sounds and
Right.
shit. I mean, it was pretty straightforward punk rock recording.
Hmm.
There may have been some replacements. Oh Jesus!
Oh no! Did the kitty do it?
No, what
You can blame
happened?
the kitty.
I had definitely got to blame the kitty. It's the kitty's fault. Oh shit! How do I get back?
That I can't help you with. Yeah. Uh-oh. Well, we lost him. I guess he's gonna come back in a minute. Hello, everybody. Thank you for all the comments. I see your questions. I will ask him about Die Hard. Don't worry about it. He's back.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this guy.
Okay, yeah. We had enough kitty. We had our kitty fix. We appreciate it.
Sorry, dude.
Yes.
All
Let
right,
up
so
kitties
you'll
clown.
hear her crying for a few minutes.
That's okay. We accept that.
No, but yeah, man. I don't know what happened. It was something. Harden was playing with someone else. Something was going on, and so we just kind of threw Blo Hole together. And we have a whole. I think we have a whole nother record of all the basic tracks and probably most of Mike's guitar tracks and stuff that are done.
Dude, what are you waiting for?
Well, you know, the guy that's staying on them is dead. Mike's dead. It's kind of hard to. I'd like to do something at some point.
Oh, it wasn't Blohole. It was something else.
Well, no, it was Blo Hole, but now that Mike's gone.
Right, of course.
He was like limited window between ministry stuff, and then I joined Gwar, and then this and that. So we just never came back to it, and we kind of got
vocalist on this, aren't you?
Huh?
You're the singer on this.
Yeah. But
well,
yeah, we just well, we were never able to get together and finish that record. We kind of got screwed over by the guy that was engineering it to begin with, and then just time sort of pulled it all apart. But there was a guy, Greg Toll, that was singing on a lot of the songs, and he passed away about a year ago. So
gotcha. Okay, I want to tie this sort of era together with this question because I think you're the first guest I've had that have had 2 documentaries out about them, right? And this will tie into Keith's question that I'll play. But Rigor Mortis, the story of Rigor Mortis, part 1.
Yep.
So you see where my question is going, right?
Yeah. Is there going to be a part 2?
Yeah. Where's part 2? And of course, this ties together. This is narrated by Phil Anselmo.
That's right.
And my brother had a question about just being in Dallas, any Dimebag or Vinnie Paul stories.
It was weird because I'm from Arlington, Texas, and they're from Pantego, Texas, which is kind of like in Arlington. It's sort of like a small municipality of Arlington or whatever. We didn't go to the same schools, but we kind of crossed paths a lot. And we go see them, and they'd come see us every now and then. But we weren't like, I wouldn't say we were really friends. We didn't know each other that well. But our fans started clashing because our fans were purist metal to the core, and Pantera's fans were posers, back in the day, whatever. But this is before Phil. Phil came in and turned that band into what people know of Pantera.
Yeah.
I remember
this was Pantera.
Yeah, I remember the first album. Nothing on
Rainbow Metal or Rainbow
Metal. Yeah. She's in the song. She's got nothing on but the radio.
Yeah.
But
I
like
never
I said,
actually heard it.
They kind of followed the trend musically because they were playing all these cover songs and playing all these clubs. So you would kind of see them more from Van Halen to Motley Crue to Anthrax. All of a sudden it's board shorts and stuff. But before it was spandex and not fishnets and happy Dayglow shirts and stuff. So it was, we kind of went the other way on purpose,
Right. Did you know Phil before Pantera?
Yeah, Phil would come out to Rigor Mortis shows, and he'd start the pit, and we just knew him as this kid from New Orleans. We didn't know him that well, and he was friend at shows. We would hang out that much, but we kind of knew each other. And when we were looking for a new singer after Bruce left the first time, he wanted to audition. So he came over to our jam room and went through all the songs, and then told us that he had, done the same thing with Pantera, and they had offered him the gig, but he had to come over and sing all the songs just once.
Oh, tell me you got a cassette tape of that. Damn, that would be so cool.
Yeah, I wish. Had I known.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, he's always been a fan. He's always been really cool to me. I've always got along with him.
Yeah. What about Vinny and Dime?
Dime was always cool as shit to me. Vinny was always
Did you guys smoke pot together?
No, but I walked into this club, The Basement. It was kind of the glam metal sort of hub of Dallas. And I walk in, and he's, of course, holding court at the bar, Daryl. And, hey, man, come here, man. I come over and go, dude, open tab, man, anything you want. And here, man, he hands me, like a full handful of Valiums, and just put them in my hand. Here you go, man. They're falling all over the floor. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh,
okay. No. And then, drink all night, but I didn't really, we weren't really close, but we'd see each other and be like, hey, man, what's going on?
Did they ever come out to Gwar shows or anything? Or
I don't think so. I know that Mike and Ministry and Damage Plan were kind of crossing paths on that last tour. And Mike had run into Dimebag and was talking to him about, hey, neither tour is really selling out and doing that well. Why don't we, it'd be cool if we could combine, on the same bill. And I guess they talked to management or whatever, and it didn't work out. And then a week later, Dime got shot.
Oh,
so might have changed everything, put him in a bigger venue. It might have been just a different vibe. The guy might not have even tried, who knows? Butterfly effect,
And I know there's a video. I don't think you were in the band at the time, but there's a video of Gwar playing that night, encore, out of costume, like real emotional.
Yeah. Zach Blair called me. I was actually at Hardin's house playing Magic the Gathering.
Oh.
And Zach Blair called me and told me, and then and it was just, that was surreal, it was hard to wrap your head around for a couple of days. It was just the whole thing was just so, no way. And then like the next day, Brockie called me and was just like, dude, that could have been anybody, any of us, any band. And he's like, God, think of all
I'm sure Gwar was playing the same clubs, right?
All the people we punched off of the stage, or whatever situation, somebody might have gotten pissed off, and it just changed everything. It made you really think, wow, we are exposed, all bands, everybody, still are,
Sure.
I mean, all the safety measures at all the clubs I see, it doesn't matter. If I wanted to walk into a club with a gun, I could walk into a club with a gun. I mean, I'm glad that there's some effort being made, but being in and out from the back and the front, you see that it's really, it's for show more than anything else.
Yeah, I know you play Irving Plaza a lot. Someone got shot there a couple years ago. Well, I say a couple years ago. It was probably like 10 years ago at this point. Only ended up shooting himself in the foot, and they found him in the hospital.
Brilliant.
Then there was a lot more security there after that, but I know you play there a lot, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's several incidents, like I know we
wasn't anyone on stage though, like it wasn't directed to the stage.
No, but I mean, we used to have people get on stage and we would attack them, because you're fucking with our show, and if you whatever. I've broken bases on people's heads, and then you back up and you think, what if he'd have been 15? What if his parents wanted to sue the band? What if? And it was like, what are we fucking doing? You know, of course, you kick somebody with a big rubber foot, doesn't do anything, you know.
But
But
it
you
looks
know,
great from the
yeah,
audience. When Gwar, you know, when they were playing those old stages in the 90s and they would have to like kick and throw people off stage. I mean, now it's a little bit more barrier and
yeah. Oh, we played
separation.
shows where there were like barriers that were just constructed out of 2x4s, and we would watch them crumble and splinter as we were playing, and we would have to stop the show because it was
Mhm.
just becoming giant splinters of wood.
Oof.
And we'd have them clear it all the way out, and then have the audience, you know, promise to behave and take care of each other, and they would. We,
Right.
you know, when we've been in a situation where it got really dangerous and we had to stop the show and say, look, the only way we can continue is this. Every time they've been cool, you know,
And
and
it's
taking care
extra
of each other.
slippery at your shows too.
All
So
right. Well, Gwar fans, I know everybody says it, man. Fans are really good people for the most part, you know, and they take care of each other. And, you
that's great.
know, of course, there's always some assholes out there in any
Right.
crowd, anywhere, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But, I mean, you know, our audience are some pretty cool, smart people. They get it. You know, they're not like, you know, oh, this is so gross. You know, it's not like they're going out and doing horrible things. They get
Mm.
it. They know what it is, and they're not, you know, crazy people. So they're going to, you know, I saw Gwar do this, I'm going to go do that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's a, you know, people that do that are just damaged people that are going to do something,
Do people
you
still
know.
claim that? I mean, that sounds like a 90s scare tactic. Now you guys have been a band for 40 something years or
Yeah, I think
whatever.
we're grandfathered in. When
Yeah,
everybody was
yeah.
being canceled and shit, we were kind of like, so when's it going to be us? And you know, how do we
See,
address this
I
shit if
wondered
it comes
that
up?
too, yeah.
Well,
Oh
we
yeah,
just
did you come to any conclusions on that?
well, you know, we kind of thought about it for a minute, and it was like, well, what do we do? You know, I mean, if somebody comes after us, it was just like, you know what, we just do what we do. You know, we've gotten away with it forever because, you know, there's a
Because it's
separation of
funny
the
coming from
singer and the
giant
song.
aliens. Like, you're not
Yeah,
even people, you're characters, so that's where the joke
yeah, you
comes
know,
in.
you can't, yeah, you know. So, you know, I think, and you know, and Mike Dirks was one of the first people that'll just say, man, we're not going to, you know, alter what we do and who we are to do something like that. You know, it's like, you know, we were out with Cancer Christ, and they were, you know, doing some shenanigans that they normally would do on
Yeah.
stage, but you know, like flamethrowers and shit, and
Mhm.
you know, we couldn't have that, you know,
Yeah,
for
I had
insurance
Snake Boss
purposes.
as a guest on one of my shows here,
Yeah, they were great, but I remember, you
for
know,
his band Squid Pisser.
there was some talk about, well, you know, what do we do? They can't do this and they can't do that. And Dirks was like, I'm not telling these guys they can't do their art. You know, what the fuck? This is what we do, you know? Okay, yeah, you
Yeah,
can't have flamethrower on the stage, but other than that, they can tear up all the Bibles they want. Who fucking
right.
cares, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that about Mike Dirks, you know. He'll be the first one to stick to, you know, your
Well,
artistic version, your vision is, you know,
I'd hope so
not to
because he's
be
stuck with
tampered.
the band for so long, like, he's gotta be pretty solid on it.
Man, that guy, I don't think there'd be a point in that band continuing without him.
You think he's the glue now?
I think he's the heart.
I like that, yeah.
You know, I don't. I think several people probably just wouldn't want to carry on without him there because he's such a integral part of the whole thing, and he's a component that's unique. He's a very unique
Yeah.
player. He's a very unique writer. He's a very his you know thought processes, his uh, just his ethic. I mean, he's one of the best guys I know, and I can't speak highly enough of the guy. And most people that know him, you know, I'm sure say the same thing. He's just one of the best guys you'll ever know. And but I think he's kind of the heart of the band at this point. You know, he does a lot to keep things moving and keep things going. And you know, I love
Was
the
it
guy.
weird, when he had to leave the tour a couple years ago? You were there
I
for that,
wasn't on
right?
that tour.
Oh, shit, you weren't. That was
I
Jameson?
yeah, it was Jameson,
Okay.
and I saw him before that happened, and then I saw them without him. I think once,
Mhm.
and I mean, I was terrified, you know,
Yeah.
because I just couldn't imagine losing that guy, you know, especially losing him, in such a, shitty way where there's nothing anybody could do about it. It's
Mhm.
medical, luckily his sister was a perfect donor
Right,
and
right.
everything. And he
Yeah, I
seems to
remember sending
be,
my sample in and everything.
yeah, but he seems to be doing great. And, he's one of the reasons I'm still in the band. I genuinely
Yeah,
love the guy and I like to tour with him. And,
that's important. You got to be able to hang,
that's 90% of the reason I'm in Gwar is because I love the brand, I love the band, I love the guys, I love the fans, I love being able to do this. I mean, when I was a kid, I
Mhm.
was Conan and Monty Python and all that kind of stuff, and Star Wars and all this shit, and Kiss,
Yeah,
and I ended up being the poor man's Gene Simmons, in a way. Um,
right.
but I'm in Gwar because I love being in Gwar, regardless of the situation, because it's different now, and
Right.
I'm, for all practical purposes, I'm hired as the live bass player,
Yeah,
and
I've
so it's a little different, dynamic. And there's some things that I'm not 100% thrilled about, my position. But I love Guar. I love being part of this thing that's going to go down in history
Mhm.
as the incredible thing that it is.
Right.
And so that's why I do it, because I really love it. You know, if my run with Guar ends, I doubt very seriously I'm going to try to be in another, big band. I'm probably going to paint miniatures and
Mm.
just make music, on the side, and just do art projects. So I've got tons of things I want to do, but it's hard to do a big art, project when you don't know what your schedule's going to be and stuff.
Mhm. You're going on tour in March.
What?
I hope.
Yeah, doing some more X-Cop shows too.
Yes, I'm finally going to see the X-Cops in New Jersey.
Cool.
Welcome to New Jersey. Yes.
I'm loving it, doing the X-Cops again,
Yeah,
man.
I
I
mean,
think it's more
let's
fun
skip to
now.
the X-Cops. How is that coming back? We got the Texas connection back with Pete Lee.
Well, look, first, let me
Yeah.
tell you what happened when I joined the band. Probably the second day of rehearsal, after we ran through the songs, they were like, "Well, go sit down and hang out. We're gonna work on this other stuff." And so I'm hanging out in the room, and they start playing these other songs, and there's no vocals, and they play 3 or 4 songs. And I'm like, "This is pretty cool shit. What is
Who's
this?"
playing drums?
Uh,
Was it Brad?
but Mike Dunn, he was
Oh,
there.
so he was there
Mike Dunn was
already.
playing drums.
And were you just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what's up?" Like we were in a band together a couple years ago.
Well, I mean, we were close enough that when Pete was in the band,
You
we
knew.
kept in touch, so it
Yeah,
wasn't like a surprise.
right.
Because I think he had been drum teching for a while too. So
Oh,
I'd run
okay.
into him when I'd go see
So would
Gwar.
Brad take a break too, or what?
Well, he I can't remember at the time. I think Brad just yeah. I think he just sat out
Mhm.
when they
Is
started
there a
playing those
reason
songs.
he wasn't playing in the X-Cops, or he just like didn't
No,
want to do 2 bands?
I don't remember what his thought
Yeah, yeah,
process was. I don't think he wanted to be the drummer for the band, and so Mike
yeah.
Dunn jumped in, and Brad's always got a million other things going
Oh
on
yeah,
too.
sure.
But
He's running the
yeah,
Fin
so
Club and all that
they
back then.
they explained to me what this was, and I was like, "Well, that's a cool idea, right? Who's singing?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't have a singer yet." And I was like, "Yes, you do." And I explained to them exactly who and what Tubb Tucker was, and Dave's like, "Oh, that's right, you sing,
Duh.
okay?" And it was almost that simple. I was
Yeah.
like, explain the character, what he looked like, what kind of guy he was, and they're like, "Okay, yeah." And then that day, I wrote lyrics for several songs as they were
Oh,
playing to
nice.
them.
Do you remember which
So,
songs were the first ones?
um,
Like, what was your first idea for the X-Cops?
Third Leg was one of my first ideas. Um, may have been Paddy Wagon Rape. I think they were playing New Jersey.
Mhm.
I mean, they were playing most, probably, well, maybe half the songs
Pretty
that ended up
Beautiful.
being on the album.
Go get your X-Cops vinyl on vinyl now.
I'm still waiting on my copy.
Oh man, you got to call management.
The call has been made. Yeah,
Yes.
they're great. Management's great. We've got a really cool management team, and they're on the ball. They really are. It's. I've never worked with a real management company like this.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I've
Oh yeah,
worked.
I've spoke to them on the phone before. Yeah, they seem
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
There's a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of jobs that are getting taken care of, and for Gwar, what it is now, it's that's the way to go. It's the kind of thing that Dave Brockie never would have dealt. It wouldn't have worked with Dave. He would have shot us in the foot again over
Right.
it. It's too professional, and I
Hmm.
think Brockie is a chaos artist,
Yeah.
and that was why he was so fucking amazing. And you could just watch this guy, pick his nose, and it was a performance. I saw the guy pantomime an entire Police CD on the bus one night after a show, standing up as the bus was driving down the highway. He pantomimed the entire thing, and it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. We were all just dying. It was just, but he was chaos, and when things started getting too real and too next step ish, he something would happen,
Hmm.
and then it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think he was a little bit afraid of success, and letting go of that controlled chaos that he had the reins of. So I don't think this sort of situation would have really worked with him.
Well, I think it's time for it. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I guess this should lead into. I wanted to ask. I mean, I saw the Mudvayne tour twice. That was kind of a big step for Gwar. Live Nation, right? That's what Michael Bishop was telling me last time.
oh
That's
yeah.
the big idea. Is like now Gwar is a Live Nation band.
Well,
How has that? That was the last time I talked to someone in the band. Now the tour has happened. How was that?
I think the main reason we did that was to show, because Live Nation owns all the venues. They
Yeah.
own all the festivals. They
Yeah.
own everything. If you want to play certain festivals, if you're not juiced in with Live Nation, you're not going to play. And so, in a way, it was like we need to show that we can play every day in the middle, clean the stage off, and not have our show be a burden in the process of a
Hmm.
traveling tour like that.
Right.
And we did. Because we have an amazing crew, and everybody does 3, 4, 5 jobs, and we were done off the stage, truck
Oh, it was
loaded, doors
clockwork.
shut,
Yeah, sure.
truck leaving the venue in 45 minutes. That's None of the other bands on that tour could do that. And they
Hmm.
didn't have all the shit that we had to contend with. But we're
Right.
pros. Our guys are pros. They roll that shit up, they clear that stuff off. Our stuff is, compact and, put together like Tetris and onto the
Hmm.
truck. The truck pack is well known to everybody that's on the truck, and boom. And to hit the last note and then 45 minutes later the truck rolling, it's a good crew.
And yeah, and the sun's just coming down. Like you're done early, you can hang out the rest of the night, right?
Yeah, half of that tour, the sun would come dip right under the covering and be right in our face,
Dude.
right until we were done.
Yes. I think it was Tampa. I saw it. That happened. I couldn't see the band for like a good 2 songs because I was,
Yeah,
in the cheap
I'd
seats.
be, I'd be just sweat pouring in my eyes. I
I
can't
was like, are they
see.
using blood? I can't even tell from over
Oh
here.
yeah, and then the blood, it only goes so far,
Yeah.
so you got the barricades like half
I
a
was
mile
wondering
away.
like if you were gonna up the pressure for this tour or not.
Uh, for that tour, we did, but it was,
Yeah.
we'd
I
had to
still
really
saw people
step
walking
up.
around bloody, so it
Yeah,
works.
we would
It's
have,
just it was hard to see from the back in the sun.
yeah. See, if Gwar ever had money, we would have the
Money,
whole
what's that?
place would be there'd be hoses behind everything. I
What?
mean, you'd think you escaped, and then the last song you'd be hit from behind.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
always have these insane ideas that never
Well,
happen. Like
Give me more of those. What else are you
Well,
guys
we,
putting
yeah,
out
we
on the
wanted to
bus?
get the water sprinklers, you know,
Mhm.
have a bunch of those. We had the blood chandeliers. We
I
had,
remember the blood. I mean, they did that in the 80s, actually.
yeah.
The blood chandelier.
And I mean, just it's constantly like for every cool idea that happens that you see on stage, there's 1,000
I'm
that
sure.
we talk about on the bus or whatever. They just, you know, I remember Bob Gorman, he said on Gwar's tombstone's just going to say shoulda. Because of all the things that we should have done. We should have done this. We should have done that.
All right, let me catch up with the chat. I'm way behind. All right, let's get some randomness to break this up. Do you know any of the other Beefcake slaves? Buddies with any of them? Well, one of them's in the band.
Yeah, I know Mike Bishop.
Yeah.
I didn't really know Jameson all that well. You know, just through seeing him, you know, play. So I'm not really in contact with him, and I haven't talked to Todd in forever. So
Yeah. You selling any of your paintings on tour in Canada this coming year?
why you want one? Yeah,
From
I'm gonna.
Sarah.
I'll have ink drawings that I do. They're a lot easier to deal with on the
Sarah,
road.
come to New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a bunch of them done before we leave, so I don't have to spend all day every day drawing.
Yeah. Vinny says, "How are you doing?"
I'm doing good, Vinny. How are you, brother?
Dan wanted more nudity. Well, let me loosen my tie here.
Well, Dan knows me very well, so yeah, he knows how I get.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie from Humongous
Close
Fungus
enough.
of Urungus? Close enough.
Sure, it is. It happens during Christmas. It's a Christmas movie.
Do you have any El Duce stories?
You've got a few. Yeah. He came.
Right, because
He
you guys
came.
were on the TV together.
Yeah, that was funny because everybody except Gwar got paid as an actor, but we
Wait,
didn't
El
get
Duce
paid.
got paid?
El Duce got paid as an actor. Everybody on there got
What
paid
about the
as an
girl from
actor.
the Spowits?
Got paid as an actor.
Hmm.
We didn't get paid anything.
Because
We
Guar's
got.
for real.
That's what they were trying to say. And we got hotel rooms, and then we got a voucher for the restaurant at the hotel that was never ever open during the hours we were at the
Ooh,
hotel. So I
that's
got a.
fun.
Oh wait! I do have this. It
Oh
just happened.
wow. What
It
does it
just
say?
happens to be behind me. I swear it's fun.
What did he write to you?
To Beefcake the Mighty. Thanks, Jerry
Was it
Springer.
fun when because you played the show where you fed him to the world maggot, right?
Yeah, he was a trooper about that. He
Seemed
came
like he
out
was
to sort
having
of.
fun.
Yeah, well, his producers, all his producers were kind of like, younger ladies, and they would tell us the stories about what a lecherous boss he was.
Hmm.
He's harmless, but he's lecherous.
Yeah.
But he came to a show just to sort of see the whole thing, and we were like, hey, do you think he would, he'd let us feed him to the world maggot? And they were like, oh, let's go ask him. And they asked him, he was like, sure. So he was like,
That's
he was
awesome.
cool,
Yeah.
you know.
He's part of the lore now. What about the mentors?
Well, El Duce came out to a show in Florida, and he had this just road weary prostitute with him, and he sort of like pushes her towards. We're about to go on stage, and he goes, "Here, I brought her for you guys," and we're all just like, "Eh."
Oh no.
And then later on, he
This is
was
before
telling
or
us.
after the Jerry Springer.
Well, but he told us about the Courtney Love thing. He said that this was before
The movie.
the movie and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and he told the same story to us. 2 years before that documentary or that movie, whatever, came out, and so that was kind of weird.
Yeah. At least he's consistently drunk.
Yeah.
Did you see the El Duce tapes?
Oh yeah, I saw those when they were being passed around.
Really?
Just as
Well,
dub
because
tape.
they made a documentary. It's really
Yeah.
nice. And of course,
Yeah.
old
Yeah. See,
90s Gwar before you was Mike Bishop's in it quite a bit.
back in the late '80s, early '90s, man, we were trading like all those tapes, all the whale blowing up, and the Robert Tilton, the preacher
No, this
guy.
is a documentary.
No, I know,
Oh,
but
okay.
it used to go around as just the raw tapes, just the
Okay,
stuff that
gotcha.
the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
had filmed at their parties and shit. And so those would go around, and then somebody took it and you
yeah.
know spruced it up and made it, and made some money off of it.
Right, of course. Um, do you have any favorite props?
I don't have shit. Now, when you quit, you don't usually end up with a bunch of shit. I did make them send me when COVID hit. I made
No,
them
but
send
like
me.
just in general, like maybe, that they've made over the years.
I just never ended up with any of that stuff. I
No,
keep
not
trying to.
personally, not that you personally own, but just like,
Oh, oh,
is
oh,
there any
oh.
just like your favorite, things that they've made?
Oh
That's how I
shit.
interpret it.
I really liked Dickie Duncan.
Hmm.
Was the which people don't like the song and they didn't like the
I
prop.
like the song.
And I remember the first time I saw Dickie Duncan, and I knew Gwar had done this several times before, but when Dickie Duncan split,
Yeah, they did that with
and I
Tiny.
was in the
Yeah.
audience at the time. I wasn't in the band at
Hmm.
the time, and
Right.
when it split, it looked so good. It looked better than anything since way back in the day. With Tiny looked good when Tiny
Hmm.
would split. But then we did the Flesh Column,
Flash column. Yeah, yeah.
and that was three guys. That was three
Right.
huge costumes. I don't know how we ever did that prop on stage. It's so big. I mean, we're like, we have no room as it is now.
Right.
I don't know how we did that back then.
Yeah, that tour
But
wasn't very well documented. I'd hope some really nice video of that comes out sometime. 'Cause that was your first tour
there's
with them, right?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. But I don't
94.
know, man. There's so much cool shit, I was a fan before I joined. The first time I
Right.
ever heard of Gwar, I didn't even know who they were. I was playing with Rigor Mortis, and I think we were at Mississippi Nights in St. Louis. And I was walking around, and we were on tour with Death Angel. And I was walking around, I saw these like Xerox pieces of paper taped onto like posts. Didn't say anything. It was just like a fifth generation, Xerox
Those
of
were
these
the best.
guys.
Gwar looks so creepy in those like over Xerox black and white. Like
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
exactly
And
sure what's
so
happening. It's
I
kind of
ended up
scary.
I ended up taking three of them with me, and it was at least a year or more before I realized who Gwar was. My roommate came home with Hello, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what the fuck? Hold on. And I went and I found the pictures, and I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's fucking Gwar. And somewhere I still have them. I still have those original pictures that I pulled off the wall, off the posts. But
Hello. I mean, they just look so deranged.
yeah, and
I think
I mean,
even more so on the back. Look at that. Like that looks kind of
fucking
scary,
nipple.
actually.
Hell yeah, that dude. Gwar's supposed to be scary.
Yeah.
Gwar's supposed to be scary, and I think Gwar's funnier when Gwar acts like they're serious. When Gwar
Right.
acts like
Yeah.
they're
You got to be the straight
untouchable,
man. Yeah.
but we fail at everything. I always,
Of course.
I was a huge fan when I got wind of what was going on, and then I saw them. I guess once before Pete joined,
Mhm.
maybe twice. But I remember just same thing, the Belushi moment where I was just standing there looking at this thing, going, "That's it. That's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to, as a kid. That was, this is it. And then Pete joined, and I'd known him from
Right.
he was in a band with Mike Dunn called Sedition, originally
Oh, Mike Dunn
Talon.
was in that band. Wait,
Yeah,
Sedition. Did they ever record anything? Because I actually
they
never heard
did.
that.
They recorded. They had a couple of cassettes out, and somebody a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, put it out on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
So there is a Sedition vinyl, pretty limited. I've got a copy of it. But
Nice.
great. They were a great fucking band too, man.
What kind
They
of brand of
metal,
yeah.
just thrash, just good, solid metal. I thought they were kick ass. We played tons of shows with them. They were sort of our
Mm.
buddies, so we played a lot of shows together. And Pete's brother Phil was playing drums when they were Talon, and then when they became Sedition, Mike Dunn came in, and I was living with the singer when Mike Dunn came into audition. And he was like 15.
Oh,
He's
wow.
just this kid, and he comes in, he sets up his drums, and soon as he started playing, our jaws just dropped.
Is that him?
'Cause
That's
he's-
Mike, right?
Yeah.
That
But
him?
yeah, he was just amazing. You know, I
What a
couldn't
nice
believe this
kid.
kid.
Man,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And then he got smart and got a good
Mhm.
job and a family and
Oh, is that what happened to Mike?
yeah.
So
I don't think he can get
okay.
away and tour much. He you know
Yeah,
he came
yeah.
back and he did the X-Cops at the GWARPod, and it
Right,
was
right.
man it was like we never stopped. I remember as soon as we got off stage, we got into the
This was
U-Haul.
when Dave was still around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember we got in the U-Haul truck that we were changing in, and Dave was like, "Dude, we have to do another album, and that means we're gonna have to tour, and that means And I'm like, I've been after you guys this whole time wanting to keep doing X-Cops, and it was still several years after Dave died that
Yeah.
finally
Well,
happened. And
tell me, let's skip to that. Like what's happening? How did it come back together?
well,
And
Mike,
I'm
I
sure
guess has
this
been
has a lot
talking.
to
Mike,
do with you being back in the band and everything, right?
well, and I heard you talking to Bishop about
Yeah.
playing bass for X-Cops, and originally
Just
probably
before anything was announced.
well, and years ago, before, after Dave died and Bishop was in the band, probably the first tour I saw him on, I think Brad was like, "Well, what do you think about doing X-Cops?" I was like, "Well, as always, yes, let's do it." And I was half joking, and I said, under one condition, I said, Bishop has to play bass
Hmm.
in drag as a meter maid
Mm.
with the beard and everything. And he was like, "I would do that." I was like, "Okay, cool, I'm in." And then of course nothing happened, and years later, and then finally, Dirks really wanted to do it. He been talking to Pete. Pete was on board and asked if I was into it, and of course, and because Dirks picked up the ball,
Yeah.
it ended up happening. So
People have been asking for it, and it's just
and
said
it was
all of a
funny
sudden
because
here it is.
I was sort of half not looking forward to it because I'm like, man, dude, I'm fucking old,
Yeah, now you got to
I
go
don't.
do 2 sets.
Yeah, I gotta do two because I don't. I mean, I remember X-Cops set being the killer of the 2 sets because wearing like street clothes and
Right.
wearing this heavy shit in Gwar, but there's a lot of airflow,
Mhm.
But with X-Cops, there's none. And plus, I'm singing and I'm fucking overheating and I'm pouring a beer down this side of my mouth while I'm singing out of that side of my mouth, and it's exhausting. And yeah, I mean, I had a heart attack a few years ago, so I'm like,
Hmm.
am I gonna survive? And we started doing it, and it was so much fun, and the guys that are playing, now, it's just everybody's into it.
And
And
there's a lot of guest singers in the set now, so you get a little bit of a break.
yeah, I didn't have to sing as much, so
I
that was
didn't see
cool.
it live, but I've been watching it on Instagram.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you, Matt
yeah, it's cool.
McGuire.
I'm looking forward to writing, new stuff. I've got a bunch of ideas, and
Oh,
at
great.
some point
Well,
next year we'll.
there's an EP ready to go, right?
Yeah, we got an EP coming out. I think March. I'm thinking
I
March.
mean, if it correlates with the tour, that would make sense, right?
Is this March or May? I
We
can't
won't
remember. I had it
quote you
written
on
down
it,
somewhere
but
and I lost my.
it's
But
coming out next year.
it's coming out. Yeah, it's recorded. It's being mixed right now, and yeah, it's cool. It's gonna be really cool,
Did
and
you write
we're
any
gonna.
songs for it? Any new stuff, or I know some of
Yeah,
it's old, right?
it's all new stuff. There's one older
How could
song that
management?
Zipper Pig did that we never
Yeah.
released called Conspiracy.
Oh.
Pete's got a
Mhm.
song. Uh, Dirks is singing a song.
Right.
I'm singing 2. Is that it? 5? I think it's just 5.
Oh,
But
where's my props? I want to advocate. I don't know if you've been playing these songs or not, but I want to strongly advocate for the Beat You Down and Junkie. This stuff was awesome. I love
yeah,
this version of the X-Cops. More punk rock.
yeah. Well,
Those are great
I
songs.
hope so too. The band's really good. They're really good players still, as always. But
Right. Who are the new guys? Can you
we
tell us anything
got
about them?
Ryan from Darkest Hour and a bunch of other bands is playing drums as a prisoner. His character
Mhm.
is a escaped prisoner who we chained with the drums and we forced him to learn how to play drums immediately. And then Paul, who was also in Darkest Hour and is in a band called it was called He Wolf in Richmond, but then they changed singers. They got a female singer, so now it's called She Wolf.
Nice.
Um,
Okay.
and they're great guys and they're great players and they fit right in with what we're doing and they've just their characters have just developed naturally like as they should
Hmm.
and it's a great fit.
And
We
no
really had
one's
a
a
good
meter
time on the road.
maid.
No meter maid,
No
but
meter
we
maid.
got Paul is like the stripper cop. So he's
Hmm.
got like the obvious fake mustache and the Halloween store costume.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to get him to get to like the rip off, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Everyone shows their ass on a Gwar stage.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if this is a
Sometimes
question, but yes, yes. Bring back
sure.
pure as the Arctic snow. What a great song.
See, yeah, because I heard you guys talking about Hello, and I love that album because it's so punk rock, because it's so
Yeah.
fucking shitty sounding production wise.
It has a charm, but I do feel like the songs developed more after Hello and deserve some sonic justice.
We've talked about re-recording that album, like just covering the
Yes,
album and just
that's what
redoing
I
it.
want.
I would love to do that. That'd be
I
fun.
mean, like the
Uh,
way a lot of those songs developed, like even just a couple years after that, like Captain Crunch and War Party, like they crushed those songs now.
yeah, and like almost every few years we pull a couple of those songs out, and it's almost like nobody bothers listening to the original versions. We just
Hmm.
sort of, however we kind of remember it, and then it develops into a new live version.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just
and
you
that's
don't
that's
hear those very often. I'd love to hear some more Hello in the set, like Time for Death. Bring back Time for Death. I know I'm just
yeah.
being a fan, being like, play
No,
this song,
and
play
I'm the
this
same way
song.
because I'm a fan. So
Hmm.
I mean, I'm probably the only person in the band that is a fan of the band. I came in
Right.
as a fan, and I'm still a fan of the band. I mean, I was a big Gwar fan for a couple of years before Pete joined, and
Hmm.
then when I got the gig, it was just like this is meant to be. Um, so I still look at it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
I always look at it from the standpoint of the potential and everything that's come before. I have nothing but respect for everybody that's been in the band and that's come
Sure.
before and that's done their
And
time. And
after enduring.
yeah, and people like Chuck and Hunter. I
Mhm.
mean, I miss those guys terribly because they brought and there was a lot of as with any group, there's clashing and and
Mhm.
you get sick of the thing. You get to a point where it's just like, I could work at McDonald's and make more money. And do I want to
Right.
keep doing this? And my knees are gone and my back's gone. And I hate this guy in the band and blah, blah, blah. This and that happens. So I understand when people leave. I left 4 times, five
Right,
times,
right.
4 times.
Yeah.
So I get it. And you were wrong. I'm beefcake number 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12.
There,
Because I had to sit out. I tested. Well, I had COVID. I was fucked up. I had to stay in the hospital for 6 days, and
yeah, I saw that show.
so so they got another guy from Richmond to come in and fill in on a couple
Oh,
of
I didn't
shows.
see that. Wait, when was this? I saw it on the Scumdogs reunion tour. Um,
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
they
at the
played
New York show and you weren't there.
the New York show. That was the day I went to the hospital.
Mm.
I tried
They
to
were
climb the
passing the bass
stairs.
around the stage that night.
Yeah,
Everyone played a
and
little bit of bass.
so they all did that, and then they had some tracks that I had recorded,
Right, yeah,
and
okay.
they used some of that, and then they got this other guy came
Yeah, because
in.
Mike had his Steinberger on and he was just like this and the bass was still playing. He's like, ah. It's like, oh, there's a track happening in this one.
Yeah. And then I think it was the next tour before we left Richmond, I tested positive. So I had to sit out
Mm.
the first few shows.
Well, I
But
don't really count that guy. I mean,
Dirk set me up in I was staying at his house and he set me up with his computer and mic'd and recording shit and all that. And I recorded my tracks to
hmm.
every song in the set.
Oh
So they
wow.
played a couple of shows without me, but they had my actual brand new half-assed bass
Mm,
tracks playing through. So
interesting. Who was the other guy? And I don't know. Would you consider him a member of the band? He was just kind of a fill-in.
Not really, but
Well, you
yeah, I
can say
mean,
that because it sounds more
technically,
impressive. 12. I mean, that's a lot. That's a
yeah,
big
2, 4,
number.
6, 8, 10, and 12.
Do you?
At least I'm the even. I'm
Here,
the even one.
let me get nerdy. When you joined the band and you became Beefcake the Mighty, what did you bring to the character, and what did you respect about what Mike had brought to the character previously?
Well, for one, I'm being a Texas He-Man. I wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to be as effete as Beefcake had been in the past. So I was like, all right, Beefcake went to a mountaintop and discovered his heterosexuality
Yeah.
and came, and that was just, the redneck in me going, well, I don't want to stick my fingers down fucking Flopsy's mouth, or whatever. But yeah, it was very different though, because I'm a totally different bass player than Bishop. Bishop's a bassist. I'm a bass player. He's a musician. I'm a rocker. I don't consider myself the caliber of a musician that he is. Never would. I'm not. I never was that. I've never.
Professor of music.
Yeah, and it's kick ass, man. We've had some great talks on the bus about music, about old country and stuff. And brilliant guy and an amazing bass player, but we're very, very different. And so, I didn't have him to show me his bass parts when I joined, so I learned probably everything wrong. And the bass parts have morphed over the years, because I'll hear something when I'm relearning the songs to go on tour and go, oh, I never played that right. And it still happens to this day. There are times where I will listen, like really deeply listen to something and go, it's been 30 years. I've never played that right, And then I'll show it to Dirks, and he'll be like, no, no, no. And then we'll listen to it, and he'll go, oh yeah, because you play this stuff forever and ever, but there's long gaps in between tours and playing songs, and sometimes you just relearn them, and something's just a little bit different,
Well, now that you and Mike are in the band together, are you ever like comparing notes about how to play old songs, or?
For the most part, no. I, right away, I was like, man, if there's anything you want to play. I'll, give me a guitar. I'll play rhythm.
Well,
in
not
the
even
background.
just that, but like, because he was the guy who wrote those parts.
Well, yeah. But if I'm, I'll ask him, was it this way or is this, every now and then I'll ask him and stuff. And for the most part, either he's like, I don't remember, or he'll show me, or but he hasn't micromanaged me as far as bass playing at all. And when I came in, I was a little intimidated because he's the OG, and a totally different kind of bass player, and I consider a much more accomplished musician than me. And but it seemed to click, and I keep waiting for for him to tell me I suck, but
well, you definitely don't suck, no.
But it's very different, and I know there was something going on where people were talking about pick versus fingers, and and to me that's just like, it's like short shorts or a skirt. Who can what does it?
I have a more important question, maybe just for me. I don't know if this is controversial, but have you guys ever discussed bass tone? Because I'll tell you a little story time. Ragnarok was my first new Gwar record when I became a fan. I don't want nobody do the math, but I was pretty young. I came in at like 94, went to Tower Records, New Music Tuesdays. I think it's Tuesdays, new releases. Picked up my Ragnarok the day of, and it was kind of a shock. It was great. I love Ragnarok, but the clean as fuck bass tone tripped me out a little bit, because that was not the sound I was used to.
Right. That was I remember I recorded that on a Ibanez APK bass, and that had that real sort of piano string kind of clean sound, and that made it.
My
sound
is dirty and distorted.
Yeah.
Still is.
And my sound, usually like with Rigor Mortis and stuff, it was always had a little bit more grit. And I just think when we were recording the record, I was just I was listening to the producer and stuff, and
who did
I mean, recording's always a little bit different, when I record, and it seems like most of the
Rob
time,
Margolef. I don't know
yeah,
who he is.
he worked with Devo and a
Okay.
bunch of other bands.
Evo, wow. Okay, that makes sense.
But he, but no, where was I going with that?
Recording Ragnarok.
You know, a
And
lot of times the bass is secondary at best in the recording process. Like I would love to set up a bunch of amps and do all this, and usually it's like, oh no, we're just gonna do this. We're just gonna plug in direct. We're good, and a lot of times I felt like I've been relegated to you have one day, you have this much time.
That's
You know,
what
we got
the
to
that's what the
get
artist
30 layers
said.
of guitars, and it took us a week and a
Yeah.
half to get drums, and here, hurry up.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of times, I haven't been happy with my bass tone
Oh,
and stuff.
really?
Yeah.
You have or have not?
Haven't. I mean,
Really? Okay.
but it also depends. I mean, you listen to a record like that, and,
So if
and kind of the
Ragnarok
whole.
in theory would be remixed or something, would you dirty it up a little bit or something?
Probably, I don't know. I'd have to really listen to it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of
Just
times
as an example.
and a lot of times there are things that I wouldn't redo too much because it was a moment in time. It's
That's
like, yeah, you
also
could.
true. I mean, it definitely gives it its own unique. I mean, every Gwar album is unique in its own way, and that's what I love
Yeah.
about them.
Well, and I found most of the things that I've recorded with Gwar are very different recording situations and different people,
Yeah.
and and because Gwar's such an art centric band, you're not like I know a lot of bands and a lot of musicians are very strict on what they consider right and wrong and the parameters within blah blah blah. But when you're a bunch of artists, you don't mind going, well, let's just try this.
Hmm.
All right, Dave Brockie, Dave's gonna go in the studio with the microphone for 45 minutes on acid and fart, and then we're gonna mix that into um,
What song was that in?
I think it was a DBX. I don't know.
Uh,
Dave would do some
I
crazy
would
shit.
believe that. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not one of those guys that dwells on that shit, man. I like to you just do
Sure.
it. You make a painting and then off it goes, and you make a record and you do the best you can at the time within the parameters you have to work with. I always hear these bands that would spend a year on an album and often the Bahamas and this shit. And I'm like, God, record an album in like 3 days, done, mixed, Not saying that's the proper way to do it, but I've
Sure.
done that many, many times,
Well, let me skip around a little bit for sake of just fun. And I want to talk about maybe this was also a unique recording process, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. The Lockdown Junkies. Dude, 19 minutes and 45 seconds this album is. This is the most straight to the fucking point album I think I've ever heard in my life. What's the story?
What's
with
the
that?
deal?
Yeah, what's the deal? And what was that a COVID
that was
recording situation?
well, I've known Morrow from Raw Power. We did some touring with him with Gwar in Europe, and ran into him a couple times in the States and stuff. And, I haven't really stayed in touch, constantly through the years, but, drop in, say, hey, on Facebook or whatever, and it's out of the blue during the pandemic shutdown early on. He's contacted me, asked me, if I'd be interested in working on this project, and recording remotely. And of course, without thinking, I said, sure. I didn't have any sort of setup to record, or anything. And so I had my kid build me a computer that I could run proper recording software on. And because he's like that. And so
It's
he built me
probably about time to have that.
yeah, he built me a screaming computer, and I was able to record these tracks and get them into them. And it's the guitar player from Extrema. You familiar with them? Italian
No,
thrash
I know
band.
Extreme.
Been around since the 80s.
Okay.
They're pretty big in Italy. They're fucking kick ass. Extrema. If you get a chance, check them out. And the drummer Paulo was in Beer Bong. I want to say he played in Extrema at some point, but I'm not sure. But it basically the Tommy, the guitar player, would send me the guitar track. I would send him the bass track, and then he'd send me the track back with the drums. And then finally, Morrow would go down the street to the studio in his town and do the vocals. And it was just like song by song over, a period of time. And
It's so
it was really
funny.
cool. It was fun.
It's so straight to the point. Even like the music is straight to the point. I mean, most songs are about a minute and a half average, right? And it's just like, why am I so angry? That's the song. Why are you so angry? It's just, it's awesome. Everyone's got to check out the Lockdown Joint. Are you going to ever plan to doing any shows, or is it just or recording?
We haven't discussed that. They're all in Italy, and I'm here. I mean, I'm only a plane ticket away, but
sure, right. Yeah,
I would.
Don't stuff anything down your pants this time.
No. Those were different times.
Yeah. And here's another band that I have a prop for that we can talk about. We're going a little out of order, guys, but that's the float right now. John Poppy wants to know about the Hellions.
The Hellions, yeah.
And are the Hellions back? Didn't they do like a show?
The Hellions, about
I got my Hellions
20 years ago.
Right here.
Yeah, we got together 20-something years ago and just wanted to play just straight up fun punk rock, Ramones, Circle Jerks kind of stuff. Black Flag, that kind of shit. And we did
Rise Above cover, right?
Yeah. We did a few covers. High Price on our heads, and we would throw in covers that we never recorded as well. But yeah, it was just a really fun band. I mean, we wouldn't play for 2 years, and we would rehearse for like 2 hours and then play the next night and just fucking kill it.
Sure.
I was talking to John from Negative Approach, and we had opened up for them in Dallas, just one-off show. The promoter, hey, Negative Approach playing. You guys want to get together and do a show? And I remember we were playing, and I look over, and John's at the side of the stage, just looking at us like, "What the fuck is this?" And after the show, he's like, "Who the fuck are you guys?" And we're like, get together every now and then and play a show. And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, I got to see Negative Approach a couple of times recently because of you guys.
Man, that was
Can't
really
Tell
cool.
No One's probably one of the best punk rock songs of all time.
Yeah, those guys are so cool. That was a great tour. All the Cancer Christ guys and all those guys.
Oh no, I missed that one. I saw them. Did they tour a different tour with you? Maybe with who am I thinking of? The Grindcore guys. Negative Approach. No, okay. I saw Negative Approach not with Gwar, but I know they've been playing shows with you, so I got it confused.
Yeah, I think they did some shows when I wasn't in the band.
I saw them with the Circle Jerks. That's who I saw them with.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, great guys, and just talking to John and hearing stories, it was really cool.
Here's a question I had: are there any other bands that you've toured with, in or out of Gwar, that you were like, holy shit? Or like, I know when you joined the band, you guys were touring with the Misfits and the Meatmen,
the Dickies.
The Dickies, awesome.
Yeah, early on when I was
what's it like touring with Tesco V?
Oh, he was great. We shared a bus. We had all the musicians. Cool. That tour, it was like the first tour I did with Gwar. We had two buses, and the musicians and the Meatmen shared a bus, and then like all the artists were on the other bus. And of course, that was ridiculous expense, and we never did that again. But Tesco's great. I love Tesco, man. He's cool as shit. He's a great guy. He's funny as hell. He is a toy collector and seller around Detroit. Yeah, he do all these like
not
toy swap meets and shit.
Yeah, he's a serious collector swap dealer.
Oh yeah, he's one of the. I think he's noted in the books as one of the top 2 or 3 collectors of ABBA.
Yeah, he loves ABBA.
Yeah, and he's got like a known collection of
yeah,
ABBA.
He's very open about that, especially as his character on stage.
Yeah.
I don't know
he's
how
great.
that becomes a thing. I just love the meat man. Yeah, I've met him a couple times. He's super nice to me.
But
What
yeah, we
about
got to
what
play.
about the Misfits? Like, was that weird? Because they were kind of coming
There
back. They
wasn't.
were kind of
They
opening
were
for
all.
you,
No, they were all
right?
great. They were right off the bat. We all got along, and that was a fun tour. They were really cool. They were all really fun, and I remember we played. I guess it was New York, and they had Joey Ramone came out, and Daniel
Yeah.
Ray, Joey's guitar player,
Mm-hmm.
came out, and they just did a bunch of cover songs and shit. And I was standing on the side of the stage, just going, "Fucking dude, Joey Ramone is opening for me. He's on stage, and we're about to get ready
Nice.
to go on." And Brockie comes up, and he's like, "Dude, man, they're cutting into our time." And I'm
Oh
like,
man, are you
"Who
kidding?
cares? Like, fucking let them, man." It was
Yeah,
awesome, man.
that's awesome.
But yeah, no, those guys are all cool guys. You got along with them.
I wanted to ask this before, but since we're on the punk rock conversation, I'm gonna switch the coast. But another thing I noticed when I was looking through the Blo Hole is you had photos in here from Ed Culver. Do you know Ed Culver? How did that happen?
I
You know
don't
who Ed
remember.
Culver is?
I don't
Okay.
remember, honestly. I
He,
think he was somebody that Triple X got to do some stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
He's very famous punk rock photographer. All the original like Black Flag, Adolescence, 45 Grave, Christian Death,
Okay.
all that stuff
Okay.
is all him, you know. And I was like, oh shit. And he's
Well, what did
in
he do? What did he do on that? I haven't
photograph.
looked at. Are there any, I didn't think there was any pictures of us in there.
There's no pictures of you, but it says some photos supplied by Edward Culver. So I guess he provided them. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. Well, actually,
You did.
I know. You got to look up Ed Culver. He's in a documentary I'm working on. Do you mind if a little self-indulgent and play the trailer for you? And maybe
No.
I have a nice audience. I got to pay the bills somehow, even though
Yeah.
there's no call to action on this. I'm just general awareness. Maybe you remember this band. Although this was before your time in Gwar. Do you remember Haunted Garage at all?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Dookie
Yeah.
Flyswatter.
Dookie Flash? Yeah, making a documentary about him.
Oh, right on. Cool.
So yeah, let me play the trailer while I have a nice audience here. And don't forget to subscribe because I need 2 more to get to 1,000 tonight. It's gonna happen tonight.
You still haven't got 2?
I don't know. I haven't checked. I hope that we're already there and we're.
Come on, people.
Yeah, I'll check. But I think since you love horror movies and you are actually one of the first bands to do, I guess, songs about horror movies, right? Rigor Mortis.
Rigor Mortis. Every song was about horror
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of in this world. So I thought it would be relevant for this audience. Let me cue it up, and it'll give us a little 3-minute break too. So.
All right.
Discussion about the importance of danger, chaos, the possibility of something happening that really wasn't on the schedule.
Mr. Dookie Flyswatter and
The Haunted Garage!
If you took 80s slasher movies and put it in a blender with metal and punk rock, you're gonna get Haunted Garage.
Dookie and his crew were almost like making horror movies, horror punk.
But the gag is, you're in the splash zone.
It is splatter rock. It is chainsaw rock and roll.
Not only chainsaw them, but would pull the guts out and spread them all over the place.
It's like going to a horror movie, except it's actually happening.
There was this real fervor at the time about shock rock, how bad it was for the kids.
The shock value was exactly what I wanted.
I look over and I see Dookie with his arms on fire.
The flashes from the rear end.
He got brain surgery live on stage.
Whenever you find something weird, we'll give a use for it.
It's not an act that we put on to go on stage.
We were real.
There was some shit being exercised right there.
That was the raw stuff.
You walk out of there feeling like you've maybe left the planet for a little while.
Their legacy is they were unique.
They did things that weren't being done, and they did things that were outside of people's comfort zones.
Dukey was always just ahead of his time on that.
But it really rocked hard. I mean, he had really good musicians in the band.
We didn't want it to be only this deep. We wanted it to be this deep.
It's Haunted Garage. That's the whole point of taking things too far.
They just were doing it to have a good time and make you laugh.
It was always fucking fun.
Actually, we're a lot more stable than like think Bill Cosby.
I don't know how to explain it. It exploded.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons.
Tom Waits was there.
We blind Axl Rose.
When you're sitting between Dukey and Elvira, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
There were lines around the block to see Haunted Garage. They were the it band at the time.
Those guys were gods to who they were gods to.
He's an icon of the underground exploitational genre.
Punk rock god of Hollywood.
Bela Lugosi's horrible punk rock grandson.
G.G. Allen, but fun.
He's like a friendly vampire.
He was LA's Peter Lorre.
You need somebody in a movie, that's the guy that you want.
Roger Ebert said it's the worst movie he's ever seen.
Cold Steel, Sharon Stone? Who knew? He had a great writing career.
He puts everything he's got into it. He made his whole life his art.
I think that the whole world should know about it.
Now I'm gonna cry.
Slam, 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 slam.
Wait a minute, you're gonna get this.
Oh, thank you.
And more. You know who I just interviewed recently for that? Brian Slagle.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I asked him, did you sign Haunted Garage so that you could bury them to promote Gwar?
And he said?
No. He just didn't promote them very well, I suppose. Do you have any favorite Dukey movies, or did you ever meet him before?
No, I've never met him. No.
You must be a fan of some of the movies he's made.
Oh yeah, I mean all the surf Nazi stuff
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we used to. That was the thing about Rigor Mortis, man. Is we would rehearse like for 6 hours or 7 hours until somebody finally just was like, I can't play anymore. Then we'd go in the house and smoke weed and drink beer and watch horror movies for another 6
Blood
hours.
Diner.
8 hours. Oh, blood. I mean, anything and everything. I remember there was a Sound Warehouse, the record store in Dallas, and they had a vast video section, and they were like 99 cents. And I had 2 VCRs, so like I would just rent as many as they would let me rent, and I would dub everything. So I had hundreds of tapes with like 4 or 5 movies on some of them.
SLP mode.
Yeah, and just ridiculous. It didn't matter what it was. I recorded it as I watched it the first time, and if it was terrible, I never watched it again. But I had it, And I mean, I finally, a lot of those tapes just had to finally go. But I had thousands of movies. People used to come over and borrow them, and I had to make a little system to write down who had what, because they would just disappear.
Did you have a favorite era of horror movies or?
I don't know. It changes sometimes. Like right now, I'm really into I've been watching a lot of going back to a lot of the 80s stuff. A lot of the post-apocalyptic and shit. And I mean, the classic stuff.
Rollerblade Warriors Taken by Force. That's a terrible one that Dukey Flyswatter's in.
Oh man, Bob Gorman and Matt McGuire. Matt McGuire brings hundreds and hundreds of
he's the movie
DVDs on the road, and
DVDs
most
on
of
the
it.
road.
No,
Still?
yeah. The big books, just the big books, folder books, and but just stuff that's just great schlocky, motorcycle machine gun movies, titties and machine guns and fast cars and those kinds of exploitation.
I gotta
stuff.
get him back on and talk about movies more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. him and Bob, man.
Bob,
Yeah,
Bob's next.
Bob,
Bob, I'm coming for you.
Bob's awesome, man. I think Bob's the funniest guy in Gwar. He's real
Really?
dry, but he'll
Yeah,
he'll
I bet
wait.
that.
He'll wait until the moment's perfect, and he'll just go, "Meh," and he'll just say one word that'll just be the funniest thing you ever heard. But he waits for the perfect timed moment, you know. But yeah, he's got a vast memory of all these like schlocky, you know, exploitation movies in the eras
Oh,
and stuff.
so I don't. That here's a question for you. I don't know if there's anything at liberty to talk about here, but there's a Gwar movie happening. What's up with the Gwar movie?
You probably
Is
know
there
as
there a
much.
Gwar movie happening?
Apparently, since
Apparently.
they've been publicly saying so. Apparently, there is. Yeah,
Well, I
we're
haven't heard anybody publicly say anything, but it is on IMDb.
yeah. Well, they posted that.
Mhm.
Pretty much everybody in the band and management posted that on Facebook
Okay,
and
okay.
Instagram and
Official
shit. So
leak.
yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's going to happen.
Nice.
So yeah,
Is this
we'll see. I'm not in the loop
right?
of most things because of the way my current situation is
Sure.
with the band, but
Had to ask.
you know,
That's the happening. I'm
yeah. So
excited for whatever that is.
yeah, it's going to be really cool. You know, everything that I've heard about the story and the people that are being approached to, you know, be involved. It's legit. There's going to be some
Right.
budget. You know, it's not
Right.
going to be a blockbuster
Right.
budget, but you know,
More
the
than
kind
it's
of money
crazy.
that sounds shocking to me, but is like, you know, very small in the movie making world, but still enough to make a legit, you know, movie. So it's pretty exciting, and it's the closest we've ever come. And we've you know,
Right.
been trying to do this ever since I've been in the band and before. You
Mhm.
know, that's the thing about Gwar. It's like, you know, action figures and all these things that everybody would just assume we would have. We never have. And then when we've gotten you know, some sort of this or that, it's usually falls a little short. You know, some of the bobbleheads and some of the toys that have come out have been like, you know, you know, it
Well,
exists, but
let's talk about that. What do you think of this?
um, it looks like
Gwar toys coming
they
out.
never put the slats on my kilt, so it looks like
Oh.
I'm wearing shorts.
Oh yeah, it does. What's up with that, guys?
We
Gotta get
talked
the
about
shorts right. We
we
talked about
talked
this.
about
You had one job.
and I don't
Uh,
play Dean anymore, but that's okay.
oh,
I'm excited. They
they look
exist.
awesome though.
I'm
Yeah,
going to hold a Beefcake action figure, and that's
yeah.
one of the things I joined the band was like, I'm gonna have a Beefcake action figure someday.
Finally.
I'm shocked that it took this long.
Well, you had a miniature. I guess we can talk. I can
Oh
ask you
yeah,
about
yeah. I
that.
got these are 3D printed. Saul Blair, our friend, sculpted these guys, and
That's
I've
so
got
cool.
a
Is there the rest of the band too, or just you?
there. Yeah, I've got a couple of them over here. Sorry, I got the coffins. Ooh, look at this guy.
Oh,
There's
that
your
is a
buddy.
big sword und lick. Nice.
There's a bone snapper.
Oh,
Now, these, of course, are the larger ones.
Mhm.
The normal, like, you know, Warhammer size. That's the one I'm in the process of painting up.
I mean, I was talking about Rumble in Antarctica, but
Those
that's
guys.
even cooler.
Yeah. I have all the rum. I don't, you know, that was the thing that was kind of disappointing that that didn't last very long, but it
Yeah.
did last long enough to get that first run of figures, the minis, and I have those. I painted them years and years and years ago. Sorry, and they came out horrible, you know, because I wasn't very good. And then now that I'm into painting again, I decided to strip them completely. So I've stripped them down to the metal, and they're just waiting to get primed and redone. So
I know someone
I'll
had a
post that when
question
I
in
get it
here
done.
about Warhammer. You still playing all that stuff?
I'm mostly into the hobby of the model making and painting.
Right.
I
Yes.
I
Well,
don't.
I know someone else asked about this, and I wanted to ask about it. we all know that you got a 3D printer. Tell us about that. What are you going to do with the 3D printer?
I'm gonna print stuff in 3D. No,
Yeah.
I've always wanted one just because it's a very expensive hobby doing this kind of shit, the Warhammer stuff, and as the technology's advanced quickly, I didn't want one of the printers that do the little string shit, so you have all the lines all the way up the figure. I've got some old 3D prints that are like that, and they look shitty. They're just because it's a what is it, like a filament that just sort of they build it up, like that. So you see the lines of every layer. But with the resin printing, it's like a UV light. So it as it's printing it
Here it is.
cures like just a little bit at a time, and when it's done, there's no striations in it, there's no little lines. It just looks like almost like a store-bought plastic miniature. And there's a million files out there, and if you learn how to 3D sculpt, you can basically do anything, and you can find files on washer and dryer parts, things for the car, tools, this and that, and you can almost 3D print just about anything. But I didn't really want to get one of the earlier versions because I just didn't think they looked that great. I wanted to wait for the technology to catch up and, wait till I could really afford it and had some space, because it takes some space, and it's, and I decided I wanted to do it. And I talked to Saul, who made these, and what he asked him what he suggested, and the setup that I got is exactly what he uses, and his figures are immaculate. They're great.
What's the first thing you're going to print, or have you printed it already?
The first thing I did was I got this Army Painter paints. They're called the Army Painter. And I saw somebody do this. These are these speed paints, which basically it's shadow highlights and base coat all in one. It's sort of a contrast paint. It's real thin, and it darken all the crevices and stuff, and this and that. And it's sold as like basically one coat. You can pretty much paint a miniature and with one coat of this paint in all the different areas, and put it on the table and play. And I saw somebody else that did this. They put these little caps on their bottles, and they did the speed paint on the cap, so you can see exactly what it's going to look like on the plastic. And so the first thing I printed out was 150 of these guys, these little caps. A bag of them here somewhere. Yeah, so I printed out these little guys, and then I primed them, and then went over them with all the speed paints. So if I can, I'm into the hobby more than to the gaming, but so what I did.
Oh my God, you are a nerd.
I did all the paints. So here's all the new line of speed paints.
Oh my God.
All with their little caps. And I also built the drawer up. It's a IKEA drawer that I built these little strips in to hold the paints. And then here's all my Citadel pot paints. And then this is all my Army paints.
Are you guys playing these games on the bus still? Because I know there's other members of the band that are into this kind of stuff, right?
No, we used to. When I joined the band, they had kind of stopped playing like D&D and all that, and we started playing Magic: The Gathering. They had just kind of started getting into that. So I got into that, and we played that, because it's a great game on the road.
Hunter only likes things with little figures, he's told me.
Well, with this kind of stuff, it's hard to travel with much, And when Hunter came out on that tour that we did with him, he brought the Warhammer Underground game, which is it's like you play on tiles, and you have so many turns, and then you tally up points. So it's not a big giant, game. So we played that, and we used to play Necromunda back when Hunter and those guys were in the band, and I got some of the other stuff. What was it? Gorka Morka. I played that for a little bit. I never got really, had the people to play Warhammer with and stuff. But I got into the painting, and then dropped that for years and years. And right before the pandemic, Dirks had a team of Blood Bowl miniatures that he wanted painted. So I was like, yeah, man, I wouldn't mind getting into painting again. So I painted his Beastmen team, and then I went down the rabbit hole. And I don't know how many thousands of dollars I've spent on this shit. But hey, it's better than drugs, kids. Get your kids into this shit, and they'll never do drugs.
What Warhammer army do you choose in battle? I don't know what this means, but I'm assuming you do. I don't play.
Well, there's all kinds of different factions. There's humans, and there's all kinds of there's chaos, and there's creatures, and so I really haven't played. I'm partial to orcs. I like all the Nurgle, like pussy, dudes. But I really kind of just like the models, and I just got what is it? There's this Age of Darkness set. That's the blah 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 story shit. I don't even know all the mythos and stuff. I just like the models and I like painting them and stuff. I really want to play. I really want to get find some local guys to show me how to really play and stuff. But so far, I've just painted thousands of dollars of these guys.
Where do you put them? Is there like display space for all of them?
Well, I moved to Illinois with my girlfriend, and
congratulations,
fiance.
by the way. Yeah,
no, thank you very much.
I was gonna get to that, but
but this is like her dad's old family home, several generations, and one of the rooms upstairs where I just kind of store most of my shit had this really cool like built-in small shelf, like for Hot Wheels or something. I don't know what he used it for, but it's like perfect for stuff. And then I bought a bunch of like hanging shelves, but it's not all unpacked and set up yet. It's a really cool big old house, but I moved tons of 50 years of accumulated shit here. So I'm still haven't, I've been here a year and I still haven't gotten everything.
Well, you're on tour a lot too, so
yeah. And she's got probably more cool shit than I brought.
Oh, cool.
I mean, she's got, records and toys and, tons of cool shit. I mean, just tons of cool shit. And the majority of both of our coolest shit is still packed away.
Right.
So her family's helping us, get the house in order. They're redoing the entire electrical in the whole house. And it's got a basement and there's a full attic that's just a whole room ready to be decked out and turned into a 4th story, but it's like an old haunted house. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And so, we're still trying to get it all in order and get it up and running. And then we're going to, once we're able to really put everything out and decorate the house, it's going to be pretty amazing. I keep finding stuff for hers and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
You have a fake leg?
Whoa.
Like looking at a picture.
You don't see enough of those in Gwar?
Well, before I moved here, I'm like, is that a stuffed Afghan dog? And she's got this like giant stuffed Afghan dog. And she goes, yeah, I was at a estate sale or something. And then I'm like, is that a peg leg in the corner? Oh yeah. So she's got all kinds of cool shit.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty good segue into, well, I guess, didn't someone from Warhammer or one of those things do the cover for Violence Has Arrived? Who did this?
Yeah, Adrian Smith.
I want to talk about this because I know you had a big part in kind of reviving this era of the band, right? I think it's worth talking about.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what happened. Zach Blair it was an old friend of mine, and he was
for him in the band too. Are you responsible for him being in the band?
I think I did throw his name in the hat. Yeah, because I knew he wasn't doing anything, and it was supposed to be really temporary. He was supposed to just fill in until
January.
Yeah, he was supposed to fill in until Pete got healthy and came back, and then it just went on and on. It didn't happen, and then Zach, he's a pop punk guy, really. Yeah, but he was flatus for 3 years, which is I can't believe he was there.
I know he's so unassumingly good at it too.
Oh man, and then now he's in Rise Against, so he's.
I know. I saw them. It was like, wait a minute, he's on a giant stage.
But when he was like 14 or 15, his dad would drop him and his brother off at Rigor Mortis shows.
Oh, wow.
And sit out in this, park on the street waiting for him to come out, because they were little kids. But he was a huge Mike Scotia fan, and I was a huge Hagfish fan. They'd let me get up and do a song with them every now and then back in the old days, and yeah,
the blasting room, the whole history there,
Yeah. So, but we were in meetings at Slave Pit talking about the next album, and it just was getting silly. It was like, oh, we're gonna have Slymister sing a song, and so and so sing a song, and Sleazy will sing a song, and Sexecutioner will sing a song, and me and Zach are just looking at each other like, we're gonna have a bunch of people that aren't really singers sing half the album, and then we're gonna have to do these songs live because it's their only song, and they're and all this shit, and it was just like it was turning into
after the We Kill Everything tour. I guess.
Yeah, and it was like, and there's nothing against those characters because some of the songs are beloved, and they're great. But the way this was shaping up was going to be like 6 character songs on the album, and it was just getting silly. It just was like the ideas were getting sillier and sillier, and Dave wanted to do a whole show that was all took place inside a whale. And it was just like, dude, put the crack pipe down, But after this meeting, he called me, Zach called me, he's like, dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this album. I don't want this just sounds stupid and this doesn't sound like, Gwar, what I think of Gwar. And I felt the same way. I was like, this, what do we do? Are we a comedy act? Are we a clown band? Or do we want to feel like we're in the right place when we're playing with metal bands, which is who we play with? Are we part of that, or are we the comic relief? And so the next day, I guess we came in and just said, yeah, I think we're going to leave. We don't really want to do this. It just isn't the Gwar that we want to be part of. And everybody was like, well, what do you mean? And so we had to explain to them that it's just getting sillier and sillier, and it's not, it's not heavy, but we play.
Scary.
We're in this arena with heavy bands, but we're just, it's becoming just comedy with not even any, scary, edge to it. And they kind of were like, oh, I didn't really look at it that way. And so they were like, okay, well, let's start writing a heavy album. And so we wrote Violence Has Arrived. And I guess that turned the tide and put Gwar back on a heavy path, which Gwar needs to be on a heavy path. It's a heavy band, and that makes the funnier songs stand out more, contrast against this band of
the Song of Words is still on the record, even though the music is a banger heavy metal song.
Oh, dude, I wrote the song Tick Tits.
Oh, I love that song.
Well, I wrote the music. It was like I had
that was you?
I had this program, and I had the drum, and I'd programmed the drums and all this shit. And so I sent them basically the whole musical. They re-recorded all the parts and stuff, but I sent it to them, and I was like, well, there's this part here that just needs to be taken out and changed. It was just sort of place filler, so it's not finished. Doesn't need this other part. They didn't listen to me. They recorded it. By the time I got to Richmond, it was done except for the bass and the vocals. And
that
so
was
they
Bloody Pit of Horror.
Yeah, and they had left in the part that I didn't want in there or whatever. And then Dave took, and it sounded really cool. It was really heavy and shit. And then Dave wrote Tick Tits to it. And I was just like,
I know. How often do you hear the music that you write? You're like, this is so badass in the rehearsal. Then you hear like I think Ragnarok's one of those records where it's like, I kind of want to hear a version of that record that's just the drums, bass, and guitar. That's it.
Well, and that's how we wrote the songs. We wrote the songs with no vocals, and they were fucking heavy, and they had different like nicknames. Like I remember one of them had some reason we nicknamed it Jackie Chan, and it was like, and then Dave came in and wrote lyrics, and they just went, from this to like woo, he rhyming poo poo with PT.
Yeah, but at least the music is serious. I mean, I can grasp that contrast in Gwar more than just pure silliness, you know.
Yeah. But man, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you name another band that basically can get away with just,
Oh yeah.
if you put all the Gwar CDs in a player and just hit random, it's it's all over the place.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It is. It's insane. Who else could get away with that? Nobody could get away with that. We had a torch song, and we had like chicken picking country songs, and speed metal and dirgy metal, and rock and roll, cock rock and shit. And it's self-indulgent. All the movies that Gwar used to make.
Yeah.
Self-indulgent. It's
Skullhead
sleazy.
Face is still one of my favorite B movies of all time. I know you weren't involved in that one, but it's sleazy not as much. But
well, and It's Sleazy was just like, from the get-go, it was chaos.
That
it
was
just
silly.
pissing money down a hole.
Yeah.
Just having fun. And we didn't care. We were just having a blast. And we just did this stupid fucking movie that nobody was going to really see, and Metal Blade let us do whatever we wanted. And, that's for better or worse,
right, I was going to say.
That's one of my favorite things about being in this band. And, it is a band, but it's an art collective,
Yeah.
and I've, kind of on both sides of that to a degree. I don't do art really for Gwar at all, but I get it, and it is an art communal art thing as much as it is a band. But when you're one of the musicians, you kind of look at it as the 5 of us are the band, and then the 12 of us are the group. But it's a fine line, because you can't, Gwar wouldn't be Gwar without Matt and Bob and Chuck and Hunter and Don and Danielle and all those people, Muscle and Mike Bonner. And
Muscle, I want him on the show so bad. If anyone,
man, I tell you what, two things that I miss
him and Scott
a lot. I miss Dave Muscle's sound effects during the show.
Exactly.
And I know I'm not the only one that misses that.
Oh, lots of people.
Those sound effects were just. When I saw Gwar live, it just sold so much of the show. The sword clangs and the laughs and the boings and all that shit. And then at a point, the guys stopped playing the slave characters as much. And back in the early days, you had Mike Bonner and Bob and even Hunter, when he wasn't doing techno, would be a slave. And you had like 4 or 5 slaves, and they'd all be cowering, and we'd be kicking them around, and it was a great dynamic. It was a great look from the front, looking and seeing this. It made the Gwar characters seem more like they thought they were this, these masterful guys. And then at some point, there wasn't enough personnel to have that many people out there doing that, and for different reasons, And it's still one of those things that I think. Like one of my favorite tours was the mind control one, where all the slaves got the mind control helmets, and techno was hammering them on to the beat of the song.
That was before you.
Oh yeah, but I was one of my favorite things to see. That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't there live, but that's probably my favorite set list and storyline of Gwar maybe ever.
And so I come from being a fan of the band. I remember the first time I ever met Mike Bishop, which is probably 90, and I don't know when it was. Pete was in the band. Okay. It was the first time they'd come through Dallas after Pete joined the band, and I remember talking to Mike Bishop, and I was just like, and I was already like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was like, dude, man, this must be the coolest thing ever. You're in this band, and I swear, Mike Bishop was just like, this is the stupidest thing anyone's ever done. It's not going to last very much longer. Come on. And it was just really just like pushing this. And I remember telling him that when I joined the band. And the first.
You tell him this now?
No, I told him the first rehearsal. I go, I remember when I met you. And he's like, sounds like something I would have said.
Yeah.
And I was like, and here we are.
That's funny. Well, here's a related question. What's your favorite Gwar album that you didn't play on? Or do you have one?
Gum Dogs.
Yeah, I guess that's the obvious, right? By the way, we made it 1,000 subscriptions.
Right.
Thank you for joining in this celebration with me.
Okay, now 3 people cancel.
I know, right? Fuck you, man. Super chat's coming up, man.
Getting too big for your britches, Kevin.
It's got to tear me down now. Do you I don't know. Do you have any memories of green Jello? Or was that kind of before your time?
Oh no, I mean I saw him several times, and then at one point Bill contacted me and asked me if I wanted to play a string of Texas shows, and I wasn't doing anything at the time, and I was
When
like,
was
yeah,
this?
I was probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe.
Okay, so I was a member of the band at the time.
Well, he was trying. Because I said, yeah, okay, and he goes, well, can you find me a guitar player and a drummer? Because he was basically just going to fly in.
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
he just has a band in every city now, ready to go.
Yeah, and so I talked to Harden and Mike Taylor, who played when we played Rigor Mortis stuff after Mike died, and they were like, oh, okay, I guess, and we almost did it. We were going to do it. It was going to be like 3 or 4 shows.
Yeah,
and
that's what I do now with them. Now it's just like whoever has ever been in the band, just if you can show up, you show up. You know,
right? Yeah,
it's
yeah.
chaos.
And it's something,
totally
and something came up with work for
man.
a lot more money, and I couldn't do it.
Wah, wah.
Any
other stories from the Gwar Misfits tour? I know we're going back to Uncle Tess.
Well, I remember the only time I ever saw Jerry only drink. We were in New Orleans, and
Jerry has poured me beer from his own cup before. I've seen him drink.
Yeah, well, on this tour, he wasn't drinking.
Interesting.
I caught him doing a little something at one point, but he didn't. I didn't see him drinking the whole tour. And then this
in
one
his
day,
defense, he wasn't playing that night. He was just hanging out.
Right. So. Well, he wanted. He wanted. He came up and goes, "Hey, you want to come with me? We're gonna go Christmas shopping." So we went to Tower Records and a bunch of shit, and then we went to Landry's, and he had like a big frou-frou hurricane drink, and I think he had a beer, and I think he had another drink. He had quite a bit for a guy that didn't drink that much at the time, anyway. And it was just a great day. We just had a good time just hanging out with him. And, I mean, he got along with all those guys really well. They were, it was a fun tour.
Yeah, that was a good time for them too. The mid-90s.
Yeah, I dug it. I mean, I know a lot of people hate that era of Misfits, and but
hey,
I'm the guy.
American Psycho is a great record. Daniel Ray.
Yeah. You got to see the 4th of July fireworks from Daniel Ray's rooftop.
Nice.
One year, that was fun.
That's in New York.
Yeah, I did a little tour with Speed Dealer, and we played CBGBs.
Oh man.
And Daniel Ray recorded the show.
Oh, cool.
So it was the one and only time I was ever at CBGB's and I recorded a live album.
I saw Bad Brains there once.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, not.
And it was cool as shit, man. It was, the only time I'd ever been in there, and we recorded it, and it came out sounding great.
That's the live album that's out there.
Yeah, Burned Alive. And then I have a Hilly story because they gave us Budweiser and we wanted Miller Lite, and I took it back up there and I go, hey, can we get Miller Lite? And he just stared at me until I walked away. Like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Like he was not having it, but he wasn't going to say anything either. He just glared at me till I left.
We got some more questions about your miniatures. What do you use to strip paint up minis? Simple Green.
I use this. Simple Green works, but I use what's it called? LA's Totally Awesome, and I got I got one of those what do you call them? The little jewelry cleaners. It's kind of what is it? The Sonic brain fart. It's like a little thing with you put the cleanser in there, and you put a little basket, and you put them in there, and it's like a Sonic washer, for like jewelry and metal and things like that, and that shit strips the paint right off. Yeah. Do
you have software to sculpt?
I'm looking into that. I've been looking into that today, but I do. Yeah, I have the Elegoo Saturn II. There's a for about $500 on Amazon, you can get the Saturn II, the wash station, and the UV curing station. About $500.
Nice.
And I didn't think I was going to get it anytime soon because I was like, I'm just going to wait until money trickles into my PayPal account. That's designated for that, and then somebody immediately commissioned a painting that put me over the top, and so right on to Amazon I went.
We'll talk about that later a little bit. I mean, we'll start heading down. It's been over 2 hours, but
you can't shut me up.
Yeah. Okay. Great. You're gonna be selling guitar picks. Vinny wants some picks.
I don't really. I mean, sometimes they'll put together a pick thing and sell them, but usually if you just catch me, I'll just give you one.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you like Twin Peaks and David Lynch movies?
I never really watched Twin Peaks much, but I like Blue Velvet. I like a lot of David Lynch stuff. It's pretty cool.
Nice. All right. I think we mostly caught up here in the chat. Let's see. What do I want to know? Oh, here's what I want to ask you about, because I think this happened right when you joined the band. SFW. Tell me about SFW, because it's also probably one of my favorite Gwar songs, and also nominated for a Grammy. It's such a weird experience. And then there's, of course, the recording of the song was immortalized on a Slave Pit single, and there must be some stories from that too. Or was that just a normal night at the Slave Pit?
Well, no, we were contacted about doing this song, and they gave us just a vague, they gave us kind of a vague outline of what they wanted, and so we went in, and basically, it was the first thing I ever wrote with the band.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And then we did an 8-track demo of it. And then sent it to them. Basically we wrote the song and recorded the demo, sent it to them, and they were like, "Yeah, it was great. We love it." We're like, "Okay, well, send us the budget we discussed, and we'll record it." And they're like, "Oh no, we like it just the way it is." They didn't want to spend any money.
Sounds pretty great, actually.
But it's still it's a demo. It's not what we had envisioned. It would have sounded so much better.
Yeah.
Had we been able to properly record it.
Yeah.
But then somehow it got nominated for a Grammy. But keep in mind,
the second time Gwar got nominated for a Grammy.
But keep in mind that when it got nominated, no one had heard it. It wasn't on anything. It wasn't, it hadn't been out there. So it's always been a mystery.
It is a mystery.
What corporate entity had some vested interest in that song and told them, put that in the Grammy pool, because there's no reason for that song, literally, and I'm not just saying that, because there's literally no reason why that song would have even been in the running, because no one heard it.
Do you remember like the process of writing it with them, and how did that gel together? And do you remember the recording of it?
It was pretty,
Like,
I mean, not super detailed, but
there's recordings of it. Like Dave gets really wasted, and I think you did a bunch of side tangent recordings that day too.
Yeah. Well, we a lot of stuff.
Don's bong is gone.
Yeah, we did. We would just record any half-ass shit there was, after we would record what we.
I love SFW. It's one of my favorite Gwar songs. Bring SFW back is what I want.
Yeah, we used to play it, but that was we literally
not for
just
like
kind of
30 years.
we just got it was real organic songwriting. It's just the way I like to write, where you just in a room and you just start jamming, and then somebody's got a lick, and then hey, what about this? And I've always written like that. I'm not like a I couldn't imagine spending months and months and months in a studio working on a song. It would just drive me fucking crazy, But yeah, I mean, I think that song was just a pretty organic, jam room, writing style, and but I definitely contributed, to the writing of that one, and it was, the first thing I ever did.
I like it a lot. Yeah. Let's do some fan art. You want to see some fan art? Everyone's favorite part of the show.
Yay!
Let's start with.
We have some great. Figures. There's some great fan artists. Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, here's the new lineup of the X-Cops by John Poppy, who's in here in the chat somewhere.
Shit, yeah,
and there's
kick ass.
Tubb Tucker,
looking good.
And there's a beefcake of you.
See, you got the slaps.
See, see, commission this guy to design your action figures. We got Sarah. This is just a wonderful piece, and if you're in the Ithaca area, go get some tattoos by her. Maybe one day I will get over there.
Oh yeah.
From Macy, of course. Congratulations again. And here's another one.
Yeah.
Beef in Love. Aww. By Derelict Dum Dum. And that's all stuff that you guys
even got the tattoo.
See? They're always paying attention, these GWARdists.
Yep.
All right, we've
got some great fan art out there. This last tour, last couple of years, more and more people bringing us art and stuff. And
I want to show some of your art in while we're talking. Because, of course, go to Art of Or and order some. Yeah, I don't think there's any phantoms in your book. Is there any phantoms in your book? Where's my book?
No.
I got my The Art of Or book here, of course. Yeah.
They are available. Yeah, I've only got a few. I've got some, not these little oval plaques. They're a little bit bigger and they're flat. These are like little bitty ones. Just I don't know why he's got a wild hair and started painting these. These are kind of older.
Why no phantoms?
I don't know.
Some more classic monsters.
I do have a Phantom of the Paradise that I'm.
Oh really? Oh yeah, that's right.
With the bird helmet on it.
Nice. Okay, so there is a Phantom in your collection. Okay, I'm there. It is. Go buy yourself one.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a book 2 anytime soon? Again with the part 1s here.
Well, I hope one day there will be. Most of this stuff was done before I came back to Gwar, and so I haven't had nearly as much time.
Some Gwar
as I used to.
Do you ever get tired of drawing Gwar characters?
Oh, that's Gwar stuff's easy.
Yeah.
That's the easiest stuff to do, and I do these things like on the road with
Dickie Duncan.
Yeah, I do stuff on the road with alcohol markers because it doesn't take up a lot of space and all that. So, I don't bring paints and stuff on the road.
Right. Oh, this wasn't you, right? But
that's Stimco.
It might be. That got stuck in there somewhere. Oh, I wanted to show this because you also did the inspiration for Odorous here, right?
Yeah. Night of the Demon, aka Curse of the Demon.
Here's a Corey Flatus.
Yeah.
So are you open for commissions? Sell yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm open for commissions.
What can people buy from you while you're not on tour?
Well, you can give me money and I'll paint something for you. I've got a couple of things non-Gwar related up on the artofor.com, which is basically a store more than anything else.
Yeah,
but yeah, I do commissions. I've got 2 big commissions that I've been working on for a long time. I've got one that's it's getting there. It'll be done by the end of the year. But it was a big I don't know if you know Nick Cimino.
No, I don't think so.
He's one of the big Gwar collectors. Anyway, he commissioned me to do this.
If I know you, I'm sorry. I totally know
you probably do. But he commissioned me to do this huge Star Wars painting, which is something that I wasn't really prepared to do, and I said yes to it.
Here's some
so it's been taking me a long time to get it done. but it's going to be fucking kick ass. He's going to be really happy when I finally get it done.
I needed to ask you about that. I saw an unauthorized Tubb Tucker appearance in the Cool Keith record. That's news to me. I didn't discover this until this week.
My lesser known rap career.
Yeah. You did a little. Blag from the Dwarves is on here as well.
Okay, all right, yeah. I was contacted by a dude that I've known from just Facebook and all that kind of shit.
See.
Yeah. Nick is an amazing patron of mine, and I feel so terrible that I haven't finished his painting yet, but
Well, you can
it'll be
blame
worth.
me for taking up a couple
Oh,
hours.
no. It's just it touring and stuff, and it's a
Yeah.
big painting, so I don't like have room to like leave it up. So I kind of have to, not yet. I will eventually, but it'll be done before I get to that point.
Well, let's talk about this because this is let's go into Gwar news. So we talked about the action figures, but dude, I'm finally gonna see the X-Cops. I'm so excited.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And this is the show I'm going to in case anyone wants to say hi to me. Starland Ballroom in New Jersey. I'm gonna drive up there and hopefully not be late because the X-Cops are gonna play early, right?
Yeah. We'll play.
You need a band between you to like prepare for the next set.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. Somebody in a group discussion we were having was like, well, I think X-Cops should go right on before Gwar, man. I mean, it's, they deserve it. And we're like, fuck deserving it. We're not going to do that to ourselves.
Yeah, not physically.
I mean, it's by the time I get out of the X-Cop stuff and sit down for 5 minutes, it's time to start putting the fucking makeup on and shit, even with a band in between.
Exactly. There was a question in here. I don't know what you can tell me, but I have to ask because it is Gwar news. But is there going to be a replacement guitar player on this tour, or is that have
we got
a
banjo guy coming in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
There will be a new guitar player installed.
So I don't know if this is something that you've discussed or at liberty to discuss, but will it be a new character, or are you going to carry on the Pusty thing?
No, it'll be a new character.
Okay. Do you feel like it was?
I think at this point,
go ahead.
People are so well known as their characters,
that's what I was going to ask next. Like, do you feel like at this point, whoever's on these characters should just be that character? Like, do you feel like maybe when you entered Gwar, you should have been a new character, and what would that new character be?
Well, since it never
thought about that.
I mean, I didn't really, because it just never, happened.
Yeah.
It would have been cool, but I don't know. I think at the time, the thought was just to keep the character. I don't think they foresaw, how many people would be coming in and out, and what that would entail, eventually. But yeah, it wasn't really an option, so I never really gave it too much thought.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I guess I'll take that as an answer. You answered my question.
It would have been nice. I would have been, excited to design something.
Well, I guess more about the new guitar player. I guess there's no details to be released yet.
No, I mean, I don't. I know very little about, I know that there's some ideas for the character, and it'll be, I believe, I'm pretty sure I can say that it'll still be part of the Maximus clan.
Sure.
But that's about all I can.
I have an announcement, another announcement. Are you ready for this one? Coming up, I have an announcement. Coming up on the GWARPod, January, whatever. It's Brent is coming on the show.
Ta-da!
So, what should I ask Brent Ferguson?
Ask him if he's ever going to fix my fucking bass amp.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can ask him that for you.
I stumped him. I have
January 17th. Be here.
Yeah, be there. Be square.
Yes.
Yeah, man, Brent's got a million things going on. He's going to be just fine. There wasn't, there's no animosity. I
didn't think so.
It's basically,
he's been saying this for a while. When you I know Gwar members when they do interviews, they're like half serious but also kind of serious, joking way. And he's always been saying like, 5 more years of this would be good. And I'm like, I wonder if he was joking. Nope, he was not joking.
Well, it's the kind of thing that you really have to really want to be here to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got
10 years.
He's got a big business going on.
Yeah.
He's got other bands going on, and
yes,
there
US
are
Bastards.
and there's several reasons that he just doesn't want to continue doing this, and And if you don't want to do this in this band, you should leave. I left
Yeah.
5 times
Right,
because I was
yeah.
at points where this wasn't working for me. And it's a hard band to be in. You know, there's a lot. We work our asses off. Even the ones of us that don't, you know, do all the work, you know, on stage. It's still it's a lot of work to
Mhm.
do this shit and walk around in this stuff and
Sure.
put it on early and go do fucking, you
It's
know,
definitely
signings.
dedication, yeah.
Stand there for hours in this shit and tromp from, you know, one side of a festival to another and
Mhm.
and just touring in general and everything. You know, I mean, some people just it's just not they're not cut out to even tour to begin with. But I mean, Brent's a fucking warhorse, man. I mean, he's you know he just didn't want to do this anymore, and I understand. You know, I'm sure he'll still be around and we'll
Yeah.
still you know work on other you know elements with him.
Sure. Yeah, we just had to bring it up because I mean that's the big news. I mean, the big news when someone leaves the band. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought it was for nefarious reasons or anything,
No,
but
and it's not. It's not at
yeah,
all. And it's been, you know, we've known about it for a long time. It
right.
wasn't, you know, it was, you know, he informed us quite a while ago that this was the intention. So, you know,
Mhm.
we've had a lot of time to, you know,
Sure.
digest it and deal with it. And
And this one has been announced, but for sake of on being on theme, the next show will actually be Miss Cherry Delights. I'm calling this a very cherry Christmas, I guess. So it'll be December 27th. Very cool. Also, my friend from the goth scene in New York City. I actually knew her from that before she was involved with Gwar, I believe. Very cool. Okay, let's wind this down. I'll let you go soon. And thank you, of course, for doing this again. Let me ask you this. Of all of your work, what do you feel is the one that's most you? Or has it yet to come?
well, you know, I don't know. There are some things that I want to do. You know, I've got a lot of music that wouldn't fit anywhere else. I'd say the closest thing it would sound like is Killing Joke, maybe.
R.I.P.
Man, jam. Yeah, no shit.
Did you know them at all? Or
You know, I saw them a couple times, and they're my favorite fucking band. You
I'm
know,
sure they've been
outside of
within the orbit of Gwar and Ministry and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah. I think Al always wished he was Killing Joke.
Here's like this is just quick story time for me, but it's kind of a great tragedy. The one time I ever saw Killing Joke, I had like this crazy migraine headache and I couldn't enjoy the show. I was just in the back somewhere and I was just
That
like,
sucks.
they're so loud. Oh my God. And I couldn't really enjoy it for what it was. Well, I knew their manager at the time, so he kind of snuck me in, which was great. So,
Yeah, it was a shame.
I can say
That was
I
some bad
saw
news.
them, but not really.
Right. Yeah, we've you know done festivals where they were on the different day and all that kind of stuff. You know.
I don't know. Yeah, well, like the next Gwar record, you're probably not really involved with that, right?
I don't know. We'll see.
Or it
You
could
know,
be, yeah.
it's maybe not.
Would you pitch a song still to them? Or do you have a favorite Gwar song that you were involved with writing or singing?
Oh God, I don't know. Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing that just that jumps in my head right away.
Mm.
There's a lot of stuff that I like playing in Gwar. Some songs I like playing.
Oh.
That I hated playing 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
or vice versa.
My pile of junk is
Oh
falling.
no.
My prop. Here it is.
But no,
Okay.
I mean, I've been fortunate that I got to play in a lot of different bands. I got to play in a lot of different kinds of bands. I got to sit in with,
Oh yeah,
you
the
know,
most you is there.
that would probably have to be Rigor Mortis because
Mhm.
it was ours. You know, it was 100%. 4 guys. Writing songs in a room together. I mean, nobody ever. Mike was obviously brilliant guitar player, shit, but he didn't come in with a complete song where we would bounce ideas off each other and real organic songwriting that way. And it was we were young fucking barbarians, you know, we got away with everything and just, you know, we were invincible at the time, you know.
Is there a specific album by Rigor Mortis that you would start with, or?
Well, the first one is the one that somehow kind of became legendary, I guess, in circles. People, you know, tell me that shit all the time. And that record was like their high school, you know, got them through kind of record and shit, which is, you know, cool to hear. But the last one, Slaves to the Grave, was, I think, you know, songwriting wise, was
available
probably
on the artofwar.com.
Available, yeah. That one was, you know, Mike had finished all of his guitar tracks the Wednesday before I think it was Friday or Saturday that he died. He had finished all his tracks.
And this was during a show you were playing, right? I mean, not to relive the moment, but that's so.
It was our singer's 50th birthday, and we were playing this place in Fort Worth, and it was Christmas time, so there were so many people that we hadn't seen in 20 years, people that hadn't seen us since the old days. Most of the people that we ran around with in the early Rigor Mortis days were there. It was like a reunion of Joe's Garage, which is where we used to play. And about 5 songs in, I just hear this wonky note. I look over and he's just falling backwards. And I start laughing because I thought he tripped over the drum riser, and, you know, and he, you know, we fucked with each other all the time on stage, you know. I mean, we had a lot of fun in that band, and we weren't too precise, you know, we would fuck with each other, whatever. So I went over to fuck with him about it because I thought he just fell over, and instantly knew, you know, something was going on. And it was in front of, like, it was weird. It was almost like you couldn't have written it in a movie better, you know. I mean, all the people that loved him were there, you know,
right.
And it was not like a normal local show. It was pretty weird, you know, thinking back on it.
How far into the set were you?
Like 5 songs, I think, 5 or 6 songs. But it was, you know, I just remember looking down and you know, thinking, you know, he died with his boots on, you know, he's got his boots on. And then I'm like, he's got his favorite fucking guitar still in his hands. And I knew, you know, part of me knew he was gone. Part of me was like, no way, you know, impossible. Not this fucking bull, you know, no way this guy could die.
Yeah, at least he finished his tracks for the last record, and
you know, and he went out at a high point in his life too. He had remarried and was working for Gibson Guitars and doing clinics at, you know, guitar centers and stuff. And you know, I mean, he was working for Gibson Guitars.
Was he still playing with Ministry?
Off and on,
yeah.
You know. But at the time, I think there was some plans, you know, coming up months down the road. But at that moment, he wasn't actively working with them. But he had 2, you know, he had a new wife and 2 young kids, and he had this great job with Gibson, and he was doing really well, you know. I mean, he was, you know, everybody thought, including him, that he was healthy. You know, he wasn't doing dope, and he wasn't, you know, doing stupid shit. And you know, he really did go out at a high point. And you know, and it was with his band, you know. And so there was a lot of things about it that were like, man, if you got to go, you know, you're surrounded by all the people that have known you the longest and love you the most. And, you know, you're with the band that you built, you know, not Ministry or something like that, you know. So there was
maybe more known for that, but that's the house Al built.
Yeah, but but this was, you know, his band, just like it was my band. You know, this was ours. We made this, you know. And it was it sucks. And I think about him all the time. I mean, him and Brockie in a lot of ways. And I didn't shut down, but after Brockie died, I know for a while I was like, I wasn't playing, you know, with anybody, and I really didn't care. I was doing art, and I was just like, maybe I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't know. And then I slowly realized that I think what was happening was that the 2 people that I felt
that was
like
the same year, right? That was like around the same time.
That was a couple years.
Okay.
think it was like 2 years apart.
Okay, gotcha.
But it was I realized the two people that I felt like I collaborated the most and the best with were gone. So it was kind of hard to take the first steps in playing, you know. And when Mike died, you know, I wasn't doing anything, and Bruce asked me if I wanted to play with War Beast,
Right.
and like
We had a comment about that. No one talks about War Beast enough.
that was a lot
Including
of fun, man.
myself. That's my
Yeah.
my bad. I totally skipped that one.
But I needed that. I didn't really think about it at the time. I just, you know, like I do usually if somebody asks me if I want to do something, I just go, yeah, sure, yes, yeah, let's do it. And I did, but it was good, you know, to get out and play and you know, get back out there and you know, but then I, you know, I realized, well, it's not really my band, and you know, I want to do some other stuff, and then I kind of got stuck again. Then I realized, yeah, I'm not doing anything because I don't have somebody to call and go, hey, what about this, or hey, what about that, you know. So but that realizing that got me past that, and you know.
Do you want to give a shout out to your friend today? Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I just found out about an hour and a half or so before this that an old friend of mine from Texas, from Dallas, Arlington, all that, Jim Dolan, big Jim Dolan, old friend from the Rigor Mortis days. I mean, we all, you know, like lived in the same houses and you know, partied together, and he always helped out the band. And yeah, I hadn't talked to him in a while. But it was just one of those things that it just brought back a flood of memories, you know. I mean, you know, I'm 58. I'm the oldest one in Gwar.
Oh wow.
And, you know, people that I started out with are just they're gone, they're dropping and they're disappearing. And, you know, the ones of us that are still around, still working and stuff. It's like I absolutely feel like I owe it to Scotia and to Brockie and you know, to all the guys like that to do something, you know, create something, keep doing this thing, you know. I remember things that Brockie told me about art and this and that, you know. I don't listen to most of the things he told me about art, but you know, I don't forget that we had these conversations, and I feel compelled to, you know, to produce stuff and to create stuff, you know. And I never pick up my bass without thinking of Mike, and I never pick up a paintbrush without thinking of Brockie, you know. And you know, even people that, you know, still around. I mean, if I draw a chain, I'm thinking Hunter Jackson because I watched the way he drew chains. Or if I'm doing, you know, boils and pussy things, I might think about Chuck Varga, you know, because he had that gooey, drippy kind of thing. So, you know, you take your influences and you run with them, and you try to do the best you can. You know, I want to take the things that I learned from Brockie and from Scotia and from, you know, everybody like that, and do things with it. You know, do the best I could do. You know, creating something, you know, from thin air, and you know, with the influences that help, you know, get me to that point.
Anything in the works right now that you could talk about, or this is a good way to start? Let's yeah.
I have a couple ideas that I've been working on, and I've just started. I want to do a illustrated book of lyrics that I've written. So it's not really like poetry, but you know, like do a big art panel that goes along
throughout
with the
all
lyrics.
the bands.
Just whatever, you know. Yeah, just lyrics that I've written, and you
Do
know,
you have a favorite
maybe
line that you've written?
Oh,
how about
what was the one? Oh shit, not like a specific one, but I do like a lot of stuff I've written because I try to be real thoughtful about it, and I try to have like clever little hooks in some of the lines,
you
and I
do?
feel like I've
That's true,
succeeded
yeah.
in some of the things that I've done, and I really like that. I really like, you know, when I put, you know, two lines together and I think they're clever. That's, you know, I feel really good about myself. Not that anybody else notices or whatever, but that to me is like something that I feel really good about. I go, oh, that's not very clever. Those two words rhyme even. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. I can't really conjure one off the top of my head right now.
I have one in mind, but I don't want to get it wrong. I can't find
Yeah,
it.
so that's why I didn't want to say.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking Crush, Kill, Destroy. Did you write the lyrics on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one?
I can't find it.
Your cries for mercy are simply pathetic. Why waste my words when my
Oh
fists
yeah,
are
that's
poetic?
beat
Beat you
is that
to
the
death.
price of Beat You to Death, right?
Beat you to death.
I'm thinking oh, here it is, right? Oh man, I can't find it. Masturbating as you perish. What's that lyric? Oh, destroy everything you cherish. Masturbating
Destroying
as you
everything you
perish.
cherish,
I mean,
masturbating as you perish.
that's pretty powerful.
So that's why I got to do this book, and I think I'm going to call it Words Can Hurt.
Ooh,
because
I like it.
Almost everything I've written has been pretty violent.
Let's end this with, can you share a memory of Dave that maybe hasn't been shared before? So what comes to mind about like a Dave memory?
Man, so many. That guy.
That's the problem. I'm sure there's just like, it's just an
and I've told this one before, but like the first time we went over to Europe and we're in London and we have the day off. We go to the hotel. Our rooms aren't ready, but they've got a space behind the desk where we can put all our stuff. We put all our stuff, and let's go see if we can find something to eat or whatever. So we go walking around. Dave gets a beer. He's walking down the street drinking a beer. And I think this was the leather pants tour. He wore leather pants every day the entire
is this the
tour.
Terminator Dave?
Yeah. And so I don't know if maybe he wasn't wearing them in this one. It might have been the next one. But we're walking around and he's standing there in Dave fashion where he just kind of puffs out his chest and breathes in the day, and he's all in a good mood. He's got his beer and he's like, life is good. And we're right across the street from a tube station, subway. And all of a sudden, fire trucks, ambulances, cops just descend on this tube station because there's a bomb threat.
Wow.
And we're in London and there's, 20 cop cars and 4 fire engines, all this shit. We're all just kind of standing there like, oh, wow. And Dave stands there on the curb across the street, holds up his beer and shouts, IRA! And we all disappeared. We just turned, it's like Bugs Bunny cloud of shaped like me. We all just go around pillars and in doorways, and Dave's standing there and his cop just comes right up in his face, poking him in the chest. And you just see Dave shrinking like a cartoon. I'm sorry, I'm just a stupid American. And then nothing happened. The cop, nothing. He gets away with it. He was Teflon, that guy, man. I saw him come out of the bus at a gas station, truck stop in Italy, walk out the door, piss on the side of the bus, drink his beer, finish his beer, and as he's walking back into the bus, just hum the beer bottle behind him. I see it. I'm sitting at the table by the window. I see it land on the back of a cop car, shattering. And the cops are sitting there eating breakfast in this diner, seeing this whole thing happen. Dave walks back on the bus. They come out and they bitch at the driver and they make him go clean it up. And Brockie just goes up back to his bunk.
Wow.
He was, man, that guy was chaos. He was very intelligent, very well read, funny as fuck, just loose cannon sometimes. I mean, he was artistic chaos at all times, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It's one of those kind of people that you're just glad you knew, because it's just, it's just such a big thing, It's like
met him
surviving a car crash. You're like, wow.
Can't say I knew him, but I've met him. What a presence.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Gwar?
Yeah,
What, you know, did I miss something?
Gwar's Gwar, and we're gonna keep Gwaring it up as long as we can. I
Thank
mean,
God.
can Gwar go on forever? Maybe. Should it? Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Since I knew you are a big Kiss fan and the low rent Gene Simmons, as you said. How do you feel about the Kiss playing their final show and becoming holograms? And is Gwar going to become a hologram soon? And are
If
you
there's
crying
money,
about it?
if there's a paycheck, I guess we might. I think it's ridiculous, but at this point, it's Kiss.
Are you going to go
It's
watch the hologram Kiss show?
no. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to give Gene Simmons any more money. I've given Gene Simmons a whole lot of money over
I'm
the
sure,
years,
yeah.
and I feel okay about it. I got to take my kid to one of
You have
the.
a Kiss coffin?
No. I used to be a Kisketeer though. When I was a kid, when I was like 14, 15.
Don't they call it the Kiss Army?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiss Army. But I had all the posters, and I was totally into it. I was totally into Kiss. I had two older brothers, and one of them was all into prog rock, and the other one was, it was all, Tom Petty and the Cars, and cool, stuff. And I liked all that stuff they both listened to. But then Kiss came along, and my one of my brothers was like, "Here, this is your music.
Yeah.
This is we
This
have
one
no
has
use
blood.
for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
Are you sad that they're hanging it up, or you think it's about time, or do you have any feelings about it whatsoever?
Well, I mean, God, they're fucking 70, but look at the Stones. But I'll tell you what, I went, I took my kid and we saw one of the farewell shows.
Yeah, I
and
saw
we
one
had
a couple years ago.
Yeah, and we had the meet and greet thing, and we would do the meet and greet, and they had already been standing there doing the meet and greet for about an hour and a half. And then we did our thing, and then there was a whole nother group coming in that had the super elite package or whatever. So they were standing there for in costume
Yeah.
for at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours, doing all the meet and greet stuff. And when we left and went to our seats, it couldn't have been 20 minutes before they came out and played. And I'm like, well, God, they must have gone back and just checked the makeup and come out on stage. So I had to give it to them, at that age, come out and they gave a good show.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I think him and Paul are both 70,
Yeah,
71
I think
or
so.
69, 70, something like that. But I mean, they still kicked ass and
It's always a good show.
yeah, and I got to bring my kid. He got to experience it, up close. And so, I mean, the world needed Kiss, and I'm fuck if they want to keep going. But it's probably
They can
time.
jump higher now as holograms, they said.
Yeah, but the holograms don't even look good. That's my problem. Is they don't really look very good. They look like they tried to make them look better than they ever did look, and they don't.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see where this goes, but I'm not going to pay $100 to see it or anything like that.
No, yeah, like I said,
I don't know
I've
what
given
kind of
enough money.
arenas they're going to put that show in. Like, it'd be interesting to just watch, get the popcorn out and see what happens.
I'll watch it on YouTube. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go and watch a hologram of anybody. That's just ridiculous. Do a filmed show and pay per
I mean,
view.
I thought they were just going to have actors do like the Blue Man Group, but that would cost money, and of course we know how Kiss is.
They should do a puppet show.
That's Green
Touring
Jello
puppet show.
territory.
I mean, like a little puppet show, like marionettes, just on a huge stage with just a little tiny curtain window.
Small stage, big screen. Well, this is an awesome dude. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
And theartofwar.com. I also do. I've got a
plugs. Look right there, The Art of War.
The Art of War, and I've
Does this
got
character
I've
have
got
a name.
What's that?
Is this the Rigor Mortis guy? And does he?
Well,
have a
yeah,
name?
it's Thog. It's the Rigor Mortis guy, and then he's got sort of the Beefcake crest helmet thing.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Go
So original.
order stuff. Again, the next couple GWARPods, and I'm working on some other ones. Stay tuned. It's gonna be good. We got Zach Blair and Brent coming on. It's gonna be an adventure.
Hell yeah.
All the Maximus is gonna be on in January. Tomorrow, if you like horror movies, I got some indie horror movie Bishop's Cove release party. We're just gonna have fun on here on my channel. Now that I have 1,000 subscribers, you know. Oh, she's.
You look like me when I get out of the makeup. I still have the guy liner on. I can't get it all
Oh yeah.
off.
Where was it? There, yeah. That's me and my guy liner.
Oh, but you got the blue.
This show's getting postponed. But do you know anything about Liz McGrath, the artist and singer? She does a lot of like taxidermy art and like crazy stuff.
Oh, it looks cool.
Check it out. Yeah, we're postponing this, but it's gonna happen at some point. And then my 40th birthday party in February.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what did you do for your 40th birthday? Do you remember?
Probably on the road with Gwar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again,
Birthdays. I'm a dad and all that, so I never get shit for birthdays.
Yeah.
Christmas.
So it doesn't really matter what I do because I won't remember it in 20 years. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so don't stress about it. The documentary, hey, there's not much news on it, but I did interview Brian Slagle, so and a bunch of other people. It's being worked on, but just very slowly. Okay. Check out my video album. Welcome to My Pity Party is out now, and pre-order my new record, vonesper.bandcamp.com. I just got the masters back today, so I'm gonna check it out after this show. That's what's happening in my world. I think we did it. Whoops. Thank you.
Well, hey, also
thank you for everyone out in the crowd as well.
Also, I do cameos. If anybody,
right, as you saw on
Christmas shit, I do cameos, and I have a Patreon. If anybody's got excess money, they just want to throw at me.
And
I'm trying to do more stuff on the Patreon and put some content on there.
And you do some cameos as Tubb Tucker too, right?
Yeah.
You can choose your character.
You can.
Dude, I recommend it. I love the one that I got from you. Thank you for that. Thank you for
throw me $1 and watch the monkey dance.
Yeah. Hey, if George Santos can do it, Casey Moore can do it.
God.
But he's charging $500, I think. So.
Have you watched the Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes, I saw it today. Yeah.
God damn. These are our elected fucking leaders.
I'm not asking what or who, but have you gotten any odd requests on Cameo?
Nothing too weird. Every now and then I'll get somebody that wants me to like read some 12-paragraph fucking thing pimping their bullshit festival or some crazy shit, and I'm just like, man, that's a business request. I'm not doing that for
right
$20 or $30 or whatever I get out of this shit.
Right. Get some.
But I have had a couple people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing too weird. I mean, I haven't had anybody. If somebody asked me to do something, too weird, I would just tell them to get fucked.
Right.
Not worth it.
Go get Casey Orr to tell you to get fucked on Cameo.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll tell the kids they're adopted.
Awesome,
whatever you need.
Man. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna see you in New Jersey in March.
All right.
With the X-Cops. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow if you want to come back for my other stream. Peace.
Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Make me a sensation.